isn't tells you a lot about how much you can trust her actual plans. Now, Donald Trump's economic plan is not just a plan, but it's also a record. A lot of those same economists attack Donald Trump's plans, and they have PhDs, but they don't have common sense and they don't have wisdom, because Donald Trump's economic policies delivered the highest take-home pay in a generation in this country, 1.5% inflation, and to boot, peace and security all over the world. So when people say that Donald Trump's economic plan doesn't make sense, I say, look at the record. He delivered rising take-home pay for American workers. Now, Tim admirably admits that they want to undo the Trump tax cuts. But if you look at what was so different about Donald Trump's tax cuts, even from previous Republican tax cut plans, is that a lot of those resources
JD Vance is on point,
more
man.
take-home pay to middle class and working class Americans. It was passed in 2017, and you saw an American economic boom unlike we've seen in a generation in this country. That is a record that I'm proud to run on, and we're going to get back to that common sense wisdom so that you can afford to live the American dream again. I know a lot of you are struggling. I know a lot of you are worried about paying the bills. It's going to stop when Donald Trump brings back common sense to this country.
He
Governor,
is
do you want
on
to respond
point.
To that? What has Kamala Harris done for the middle class?
Tim Walz is like he has to take a shit
Donald
is what
Trump's
happened.
failure on COVID that led to the collapse of our economy. We were already before COVID in a manufacturing recession, but 10 million people out of work, largest percentage since the Great Depression. 9 million jobs closed on that. That was day one, whether it was the Infrastructure Act or other things we moved. Now, you made a question about experts, said this. I've made a note of this. Economists can't be trusted. Science can't be trusted. National security folks can't be trusted. Look, if you're going to be president, you don't have all the answers. Donald Trump believes he does. My pro tip of the day is this. If you need heart surgery, listen to the people at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, not Donald Trump. And the same thing goes with this. And I ask you out there, teachers, nurses, truck drivers, whatever, how is it fair that you're paying your taxes every year and Donald Trump hasn't paid any federal tax in the last 15 years?
Get the fuck out of here. Y'all tried that so many times.
There's a way around it, and he's bragged about that. We're just asking for fairness in it, and that's all you want.
You have a minute.
Governor, you say trust the experts. But those same experts for 40 years said that if we shipped our manufacturing base off to China, we'd get cheaper goods. They lied about that. They said if we shipped our industrial base off to other countries, to Mexico and elsewhere, it would make the middle class stronger. They were wrong about that. They were wrong about the idea that if we made America less self-reliant, less productive in our own nation, that it would somehow make us better off, and they were wrong about it. And for the first time in a generation, Donald Trump had the wisdom and the courage to say to that bipartisan consensus, we're not doing it anymore. We're bringing American manufacturing back. We're unleashing American energy. We're going to make more of our own stuff. And this isn't just an economic issue. I mean, I've got 3 beautiful little kids at home, 7, 4, and 2, and I love them very much, and I hope they're in bed right now. But look, so many of the drugs, the pharmaceuticals that we put in the bodies of our children are manufactured by nations that hate us. This has to stop. And we're not going to stop it by listening to experts. We're going to stop it by listening to common sense wisdom, which is what Donald Trump governed on.
Senator Governor Walz, can you address that? I mean, voters say they trust Donald Trump on the economy more. Why?
Well, if you're listening tonight and you want billionaires to get tax cuts, you heard what the numbers were. Look, I'm a union guy on this. I'm not a guy who wanted to ship things overseas, but I understand that, look, we produce soybeans and corn. We need to have fair trading partners. That's something that we believe in. I think the thing that most concerns me on this is Donald Trump was the guy who created the largest trade deficit in American history with China. So the rhetoric is good. Much of what the senator said right there, I'm in agreement with him on this. I watched it happen too. I watched it to my communities, and we talked about that. But we had people undercutting the right to collectively bargain. We had right to work states made it more difficult. We had companies that were willing to ship it over, and we saw people profit. Folks that are venture capital in some cases, putting money into companies that were overseas. We're in agreement that we bring those home. The issue is Donald Trump is talking about it. Kamala Harris has a record, 250,000 more manufacturing jobs just out of the IRA.
This guy's triggered.
Yes.
So appreciate that. So if you notice, what Governor Walz just did is he said, first of all, Donald Trump has to listen to the experts. And then when he acknowledged that the experts screwed up, he said, well, Donald Trump didn't do nearly as good of a job as the statistics
that's a gross generalization.
that he did. So what Tim Walz is doing, and I
Come on,
honestly,
JD.
Tim, I think you got a tough job here because you've got to play whack-a-mole. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver rising take-home pay, which of course he did. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver lower inflation, which of course he did. And then you simultaneously got to defend Kamala Harris's atrocious economic record, which has made gas, groceries, and housing unaffordable for American citizens. I was raised by a woman who would sometimes go into medical debt so that she could put food on the table in our household. I know what it's like to not be able to afford the things that you need to afford. We can do so much better. To all of you watching, we can get back to an America that's affordable again.
Beautiful.
We just got to get back to common sense economic principles.
I hope we have a conversation on healthcare then.
Senator, Governor.
Please.
Thank you, Margaret.
We have a lot to get to ahead, gentlemen, on many topics. But right now, I want to talk about personal qualifications.
This is a
the vice president is
destruction
often the
of
last voice the president hears before making consequential decisions. We want to ask you about your leadership qualities. Governor Walz, you said you were in Hong Kong during the deadly Tiananmen Square protests in the spring of 1989. But Minnesota Public Radio and other media outlets are reporting that you actually didn't travel to Asia until August of that year. Can you explain that discrepancy?
Let's go.
Yeah, well, and to the folks out there, I didn't get at the top of this. Look, I grew up in small rural Nebraska, town of 400, town that you rode your bike with your buddies till the streetlights come on, and I'm proud of that service. I joined the National Guard at 17, worked on family farms, and then I used the GI Bill to become a teacher, a young teacher. My first year out, I got the opportunity in the summer of '89 to travel to China. 35 years ago, be able to do that. I came back home and then started a program to take young people there. We would take basketball teams, we would take baseball teams, we would take dancers, and we would go back and forth to China. The issue for that was to try and learn. Now, look, my community knows who I am. They saw where I was at. Look, I will be the first to tell you, I have poured my heart into my community. I've tried to do the best I can, but I've not been perfect. And I'm a knucklehead at times, but it's always been about that. Those same people elected me to Congress.
You're running for vice president.
Years.
You're not supposed to
Congress,
say that.
I was one of the most bipartisan people, working on things like farm bills that we got done, working on veterans benefits. And then the people of Minnesota were able to elect me to governor twice. So look, my commitment has been from the beginning to make sure that I'm there for the people, to make sure that I get this right. I will say more than anything. Many times I will talk a lot. I will get caught up in the rhetoric. But being there, the impact it made, the difference it made in my life, I learned a lot about China. I hear the critiques of this. I would make the case that Donald Trump should have come on one of those trips with us. I guarantee you he wouldn't be praising Xi Jinping about COVID. And I guarantee you he wouldn't start a trade war that he ends up losing. So this is about trying to understand the world. It's about trying to do the best you can for your community. And then it's putting yourself out there and letting your folks understand what it is. My commitment, whether it be through teaching, which I was good at, or whether it was being a good soldier or was being a good member of Congress, those are the things that I think are the values that people care about.
Governor, just to follow up on that, the question was, can you explain the discrepancy?
All I said on this was I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So I will just, that's what I've said. So I was in Hong Kong and China during the democracy protest. And from that, I learned a lot of what needed to be in governance.
Thank you, Governor. Senator Vance, in 2016,
JD
you called
didn't even say anything
Donald
because
Trump
he knew he didn't need to.
for the nation's highest
JD
office,
is
and you said
so good at
could
this.
be America's Hitler. I know you've been asked many times.
JD is on point.
Those comments and explained you then voted for Donald Trump in 2020. But the Washington Post reported new messages last week in which you also disparaged Trump's economic record while he was president, writing to someone in 2020, quote, Trump thoroughly failed to deliver his economic populism. You're now his running mate, and you've shifted many of your policy stances to align with his. If you become vice president, why should Americans trust that you will give Donald Trump the advice he needs to hear and not just the advice he wants to hear?
Knock it out of the park,
You have 2
JD.
minutes.
Go for it.
Well, first of all, Margaret, because I've always been open. And sometimes, of course, I've disagreed with the president, but I've also been extremely open about the fact that I was wrong about Donald Trump. I was wrong, first of all, because I believed some of the media stories that turned out to be dishonest fabrications of his record. But most importantly, Donald Trump delivered for the American people. Rising wages, rising take-home pay, an economy that worked for normal Americans, a secure southern border, a lot of things, frankly, that I didn't think he'd be able to deliver on. And yeah, when you screw up, when you misspeak, when you get something wrong and you change your mind, you ought to be honest with the American people about it. It's one of the reasons, Margaret, why I've done so many interviews is because I think it's important to actually explain to the American people where I come down on the issues and what changed. Now, you pointed out the messages from 2020. Margaret, I've been extremely consistent. I think there were a lot of things that we could have done better in the Trump administration the first round if Congress was doing its job. I strongly believe, and I've been a United States Senator, that Congress is not just a high-class debating society. It's not just a forum for senators and congressmen to whine about problems. It's a forum to govern. So there were a lot of things on the border, on tariffs, for example, where I think that we could have done so much more if the Republican Congress and the Democrats in Congress had been a little bit better about how they govern the country. They were so obsessed with impeaching Donald Trump, they couldn't actually govern. And I want to talk about this tariff issue in particular, Margaret, because Tim just accused this of being a national sales tax. Look, the one thing, and you're not probably surprised to hear me praising Joe Biden, but the one thing that Joe Biden did is he continued some of the Trump tariffs that protected American manufacturing jobs. And it's the one issue, the most pro-worker part of the Biden administration, it's the one issue where Kamala Harris has run away from Joe Biden's record. Think about this. If you're trying to employ slave laborers in China at $3 a day, you're going to do that and undercut the wages of American workers unless our country stands up for itself and says, you're not accessing our markets unless you're paying middle-class Americans a fair wage.
Senator, your time is up.
You notice how he answered the question?
Now
Amazing.
to the issue of reproductive rights. Governor Walz,
over.
after Roe versus
Walz
Wade
is
was
done.
overturned, you signed a bill into law that made Minnesota one of the least restrictive states in the nation when it comes to abortion. Former President Trump said in the last debate that you believe abortion, quote, in the 9th month is absolutely fine. Yes or no? Is that what you support? I'll give you 2 minutes.
That's not what the bill says, but look, this issue is what's on everyone's mind. Donald Trump put this all into motion. He brags about how great it was that he put the judges in and overturned Roe versus Wade. 52 years.
Man, this dude is rattled.
And then he tells us, oh, we send it to the states.
This dude is
beautiful
rattled.
thing. Amanda Zaworski would disagree with you on It's a Beautiful Thing. A young bride in Texas waiting for their child at 18 weeks. She has a complication, a tear in the membrane. She needs to go in. The medical care at that point needs to be decided by the doctor. And that would have been an abortion. But in Texas, that would have put them in legal jeopardy. She went home, got sepsis, nearly dies, and now she may have difficulty having children. Or in Kentucky, Hadley Duvall, a 12-year-old child raped and impregnated by her stepfather. Those are horrific. Now, when God asked about that, Senator Vance said, 2 wrongs don't make a right. There is no right in this. So in Minnesota, what we did was restore Roe versus Wade. We made sure that we put women in charge of their health care. But look, this is not where, if you don't know Amanda or a Hadley, you soon will. Their Project 2025 is going to have a register of pregnancies. It's going to make it more difficult, if not impossible, to get contraception.
Holy shit.
And limit access, if not eliminate access to infertility treatments. For so many of you out there listening, me included, infertility treatments are why I have a child. That's nobody else's business, but those things are being proposed. And the catch-all on this is, well, the states will decide what's right for Texas might not be right for Washington. That's not how this works. This is basic human right. We have seen maternal mortality skyrocket in Texas, outpacing many other countries in the world. This is about healthcare. In Minnesota, we are ranked first in healthcare for a reason. We trust women. We trust doctors.
Senator, do you want to respond to the governor's claim? Will you create a federal pregnancy monitoring agency?
No, Nora, certainly we won't. And I want to talk about this issue because I know a lot of Americans care about it, and I know a lot of Americans don't agree with everything that I've ever said on this topic. And, you know, I grew up in a working class family in a neighborhood where I knew a lot of young women who had unplanned pregnancies and decided to terminate those pregnancies because they feel like they didn't have any other options. And, you know, one of them is actually very dear to me. And I know she's watching tonight, and I love you. And she told me something a couple years ago that she felt like if she hadn't had that abortion, that it would have destroyed her life because she was in an abusive relationship. And I think that what I take from that as a Republican who proudly wants to protect innocent life in this country, who proudly wants to protect the vulnerable, is that my party, we've got to do so much better of a job at earning the American people's trust back on this issue where they frankly just don't trust us. And I think that's one of the things that Donald Trump and I are endeavoring to do. I want us as a Republican Party to be pro-family in the fullest sense of the word. I want us to support fertility treatments. I want us to make it easier for moms to afford to have babies. I want it to make it easier for young families to afford a home so they can afford a place to raise that family. And I think there's so much that we can do on the public policy front just to give women more options. Now, of course, Donald Trump has been very clear that on the abortion policy specifically, that we have a big country and it's diverse. And California has a different viewpoint on this than Georgia. Georgia has a different viewpoint from Arizona. And the proper way to handle this, as messy as democracy sometimes is to let voters make these decisions, let the individual states make their abortion policy. And I think that's what makes the most sense in a very big, a very diverse, and let's be honest, sometimes a very, very messy and divided country.
Tim Walz is getting cooked on social media right now. It's bad.
The question got asked.
It's
Donald
bad.
Trump made the accusation that wasn't true about Minnesota. Well, let me tell you about this idea that there's diverse states. There's a young woman named Amber Thurman. She happened to be in Georgia, a restrictive state. Because of that, she had to travel a long distance to North Carolina to try and get her care. Amber Thurman died in that journey back and forth. The fact of the matter is, how can we as a nation say that your life and your rights, as basic as the right to control your own body, is determined on geography? There's a very real chance, had Amber Thurman lived in Minnesota, she would be alive today. That's why the restoration of Roe versus Wade. When you listen to Vice President Harris talk about this subject and you hear me talk about it, you hear us talking exactly the same. Donald Trump is trying to figure out how to get the political right of this. I agree with a lot of what Senator Vance said about what's happening. His running mate, though, does not, and that's the problem.
Governor, your time is up. Senator, let me ask you about that. He mentioned, was, I think, referring to a national ban. In the past, you have supported a federal ban on abortion after 15 weeks. In fact, you said if someone can't support legislation like that, quote, you are making the United States the most barbaric pro-abortion regime anywhere in the entire world. My question is, why have you changed your position?
Well, Nora, first of all, I never supported a national ban. I did when I was running for Senate in 2022, talk about setting some minimum national standard. For example, we have a partial birth abortion ban in place in this country at the federal level. I don't think anybody's trying to get rid of that, or at least I hope not, though I know that Democrats have taken a very radical pro-abortion stance. But Nora, you know, one of the things that changed is in the state of Ohio, we had a referendum in 2023, and the people of Ohio voted overwhelmingly, by the way, against my position. And I think that what I learned from that, Nora, is that we've got to do a better job at winning back people's trust. So many young women would love to have families. So many young women also see an unplanned pregnancy as something that's going to destroy their livelihood, destroy their education, destroy their relationships. And we have got to earn people's trust back. And that's why Donald Trump and I are committed to pursuing pro-family policies, making childcare more accessible, making fertility treatments more accessible, because we've got to do a better job at that. And that's what real leadership is.
Governor, your response.
I'm going to respond on the pro-abortion piece of that. No, we're not. We're pro-women. We're pro-freedom to make your own choice.
What is a woman?
We know what the implications are to not be that. Women having miscarriages, women not getting the care, physicians feeling like they may be prosecuted for providing that care. And as far as making sure that we're educating our children and giving them options, Minnesota's a state with one of the lowest teen pregnancy rates. We understand that too. We know that the options need to be available, and we make that true. We also make it, we're a top 3 state for the best place to raise children. But these two things, to try and say that we're pro-children, but we don't like this, or you guys are pro-abortion, that's not the case at all. We are pro-freedoms for women to make their choices, and we're going, and Kamala Harris is making the case, to make options for children more affordable, a $6,000 child tax credit, but we're not going to base that on the backs of making someone like Amber Thurman drive 600 miles to try and get health care.
Senator?
May I respond to that? First of all, Governor, I agree with you. Amber Thurman should still be alive, and there are a lot of people who should still be alive, and I certainly wish that she was. And maybe you're free to disagree with me on this and explain this to me, but as I read the Minnesota law that you signed into law, the statute that you signed into law, it says that a doctor who presides over an abortion where the baby survives, the doctor is under no obligation to provide life-saving care to a baby who survives a botched late-term abortion. That is, I think,
That's
whether you're
true.
pro-choice or pro-abortion, that is fundamentally barbaric. And that's why I use that word, Nora, is because some of what we've seen, do you want to force Catholic hospitals to perform abortions against their will? Because Kamala Harris has supported suing Catholic nuns to violate their freedom of conscience. We can be a big and diverse country where we respect people's freedom of conscience and make the country more pro-baby and pro-family. But please.
Yes, Governor, please respond.
Look, this is one where there's always something there. This is a very simple proposition. These are women's decisions to make about their healthcare decisions, and the physicians who know best when they need to do this. Trying to distort the way a law is written to try and make a point, that's not it at all.
What was I wrong about, Governor? Please tell me, what was I wrong about?
That is not the way the law is written.
Come on, JD, get him.
I've given this advice on a lot of things, that getting involved, that's been misread, and it was fact-checked at the last debate. But the point on this is there's a continuation of these guys to try and tell women or to get involved. I use this line on this, just mind your own business on this. Things worked best when Roe versus Wade was in place. When we do a restoration of Roe, that works best. That doesn't preclude us from increasing funding for children. It doesn't increase us from making sure that once that child's born, like in Minnesota, they get meals, they get early childhood education, they get health care. So the hiding behind we're going to do all these other things when you're not proposing them in your budget, Kamala Harris is proposing them. She's proposing all those things to make life easier for families.
I asked a specific question, Governor. You gave me a slogan as a response.
It's not the case. It's not true. That's not what the law says. So they fact-checked it with President Trump.
Gentlemen, there's a lot to discuss. We have to move on, and we're going to be right back with much more of the CBS News vice presidential debate in just a moment.
JD Vance is absolutely crushing it right now. I mean, he is crushing it. This is a beatdown beyond belief that I'm witnessing right now. And this is a clinic. This is a clinic that he's putting on. And I've just got a couple of things I'm going to show you guys while we're at a commercial break, because social media is going crazy right now. So we've got this right here. This is how the debate's going.
Governor Walz, you blame Donald Trump. Who has been the vice president for the last 3.5 years? And the answer is you're running it, not five. Governor Walz, you blame.
It's so good. It's so good. Here's the debate summed up right here. And then this was my favorite one. This is my favorite one. I'm Tim Walz. I'm nervously shaking on live television. That has got to be my favorite one right there. That is absolutely fantastic. That's the best one. Holy crap. And then we got this one right here. Right here. Hodge Twin says JD Vance is the redneck Vivek. Oh my goodness. Tim Walz is getting absolutely crushed right now on social media. It is glorious to see. It is glorious to witness. I am loving every bit of the reaction right now. Hayden Wade for 50 says Vance is killing it, and Timmy Boy looks like an absolute moron to anyone who knows anything. They are trying to get the buzzwords, and the people who don't pay attention to fall into the Harris camp. They're doing a terrible job. Most of the time, and I 100% agree with you, Hayden, most of the time the vice presidential debate really doesn't matter. it absolutely matters right now. It matters so much. And, you know, I had my doubts. Thank you, Harley Dave. Trust JD. I had my doubts about JD Vance, mainly because of a lot of the stuff that, you know, that he had said previously about Donald Trump. I didn't know much about JD Vance. Thank you, No One, for the 5 gifted memberships. But one thing that has been absolutely certain is that JD Vance, and I obviously I don't mean this as a negative towards Donald Trump, because there's nobody that can out Trump because he is a special individual. He's got a charisma that is second to none. But JD Vance is able to articulate Donald Trump's positions to people that might not like Donald Trump and the way that he delivers his messaging. JD Vance delivers Donald Trump's messaging better than Donald Trump to people that might be turned off by Donald Trump. Does that make sense? He's fantastic at it. The dude is sharp. He's smart. He's articulate. He's calm. He's cool. He's collected, and he is on point. And he is showing you right here in front of Tim Walz, who just looks. Tim Walz have you ever been in that situation where you're like, I've got to be at work, but my stomach is rumbling, man. I got to take a big poop, but I got to hang. That's what Tim Walz looks like all the time. Tim Walz always looks like he has to take a giant shit and he's in a very uncomfortable position. That's what he looks like here during the debate. It's very awkward. It's very strange. And you've got JD Vance sitting there looking like a dude in charge and ready to make decisions and not, knocked off by anything. He just handles everything. This is a bad night for the Harris campaign. This is a very bad night for them. So here we go.
Welcome back to the CBS News Vice Presidential Debate. We want to turn now to America's gun violence epidemic. The leading cause of death for children and teens in America is by firearms. Senator Vance, you oppose most gun legislation that Democrats claim would curb gun violence. You oppose red flag gun laws and legislation to ban certain semi-automatic rifles, including AR-15s. So let me ask you, earlier this year, for the first time, the parents of a school shooter were convicted of involuntary manslaughter and sentenced to 10 years in prison. Do you think holding parents responsible could curb mass shootings? I'll give you 2 minutes.
Yeah, well, Nora, on that particular case, I don't know the full details, but I certainly trust local law enforcement and local authorities to make those decisions. I think in some cases the answer is going to be yes, and in some cases the answer is going to be no. And the details really matter here, of course. For example, if a kid steals a gun, that's going to be different than if a parent hands over a gun knowing that their kid is potentially dangerous. But look, I want to just sort of speak as a father of 3 beautiful little kids, and our oldest is now in 2nd grade. And like a lot of parents, we send our kids to school with such hope and such joy and such pride at their little faces on the first day of school. And we know, unfortunately, that a lot of kids are going to experience this terrible epidemic of gun violence. And of course, our hearts go out to the families that are affected by this terrible stuff. And we do have to do better. And I think that Governor Walz and I actually probably agree that we need to do better on this. The question is just, how do we actually do it? Now, here's something that really bothers me and worries me about this epidemic of violence. The gross majority, close to 90% in some of the statistics I've seen, of the gun violence in this country is committed with illegally obtained firearms. And while we're on that topic, we know that thanks to Kamala Harris's open border, we've seen a massive influx in the number of illegal guns run by the Mexican drug cartels. So that number, the amount of illegal guns in our country is higher today than it was 3.5 years ago. But what do we do about the schools? What do we do to protect our kids? And I think the answer is, and I say this not loving the answer, because I don't want my kids to go to school in a school that feels unsafe or where there are visible signs of security. But I unfortunately think that we have to increase security in our schools. We have to make the doors lock better. We have to make the doors stronger. We've got to make the windows stronger. And of course, we've got to increase school resource officers, because the idea that we can magically wave a wand and take guns out of the hands of bad guys, it just doesn't fit with recent experience. So we've got to make our schools safer. And I think we've got to have some common sense bipartisan solutions for how to do that.
Governor, you have 2 minutes.
Well, I think all the parents watching tonight, this is your biggest nightmare. Look, I got a 17-year-old, and and he witnessed a shooting at a community center playing volleyball. Those things don't leave you. As a member of Congress, I sat in my office surrounded by dozens of the Sandy Hook parents, and they were looking at my 7-year-old picture on the wall. Their 7-year-old were dead, and they were asking us to do something. And look, I'm a hunter. I own firearms. The vice president is. We understand that the Second Amendment is there, but our first responsibility is to our kids to figure this out. In Minnesota, we've enacted enhanced red flag laws, enhanced background check, and we can start to get data. But here's the problem. If we really want to solve this, we've got folks that won't allow research to be even done on gun violence. And this idea that we should just live with it, and I here's what I do think, that this is a good start to the conversation. I 100% believe that Senator Vance hates it when these kids I agree with that. But that's not far enough. We know there are things that work. I've spent time in Finland and seen some Finnish schools.
It's been a while.
They don't have this
I
happen.
was hoping you'd
Even though they have a high gun ownership rate in the
your
country.
underwater base.
There are reasonable things that we can do to make a difference. It's not infringing on your Second Amendment. And the idea to have some of these weapons out there, it just doesn't make any sense. Kamala Harris, as an attorney general, worked on this issue. She knows that it's there. No one's trying to
I was wondering if I'd
scaremonger
heard
and
that
say,
right.
"Oh, you're
Was
not
that
gonna
him
pass
making that
all of
goal?
you out there?"
That was weird.
You want your school's party to look like a fort? Is that what we have to go? When we know there's countries around the world that their children aren't attached to these types of drills. They're being kids. We owe it to them to get a fix. These are things that should be that difficult. You can still do it, and we can make a difference. We have to. This breaks your heart.
First of all, I didn't know that your sentence was over. I'm sorry about that, and I appreciate it. Christ have mercy. It is awful. And I appreciate what Tim said actually about Finland. I think it illustrates some of the, frankly, weird differences between our own country's gun violence problem and Finland. First of all, we have way higher rates of mental health abuse or mental health substance abuse. We have way higher rates of depression, way higher rates of anxiety. We unfortunately have a mental health crisis in this country that I really do think that we need to get to the root causes of, because I don't think it's the whole reason why we have such a bad gun violence problem, but I do think it's a big piece of it. Another driver of the gun violence epidemic, especially that affecting our kids, it doesn't always make headlines, but is the terrible gun violence problem in a lot of our big cities. And this is why we have to empower law enforcement to arrest the bad guys, put them away, and take gun offenders off the streets. I think there's a whole host of things that we can do here, but I do think at our schools, we've got to talk about more security.
Senator, thank you. Governor, you previously opposed an assault weapons ban, but only later in your political career did you change your position. Why?
Yeah, I sat in that office with those senators. I'm friends with school shooters. I've seen it. Look, the NRA guy put one on the teach gun safety.
It was.
I'm of an age where my shotgun was in my car so I could pheasant hunt after football practice. That's not where we live today. And the second thing I want to mention on this is, talking about cities and where it's at, the number one where the most firearm deaths happen in Minnesota are rural suicides. And we have an epidemic of children getting guns and shooting themselves. And so we have, and we should look at all the issues. Making sure folks have health care and all that, but I want to be very careful. This idea of stigmatizing mental health, just because you have a mental health issue doesn't mean you're violent. And I think what we end up doing is we start looking for a scapegoat. Sometimes it just is the guns. It's just the guns. And there are things that you can do about it. But I do think that this is one, and I think this is a healthy conversation. I think there's a capacity to find solutions on this that will protect the Second Amendment.
What a fucking terrible thing to say. Oh my God.
Let's turn now to the top contributor to inflation. The high cost. Thank you.
Protect the Second Amendment, protect our children. That's our priority to find. Think that this is one, and I think this is a healthy conversation. I think there's a capacity to find solutions on this that work. Protect the Second Amendment, protect our children. That's our priority. Just is the guns. It's just the guns. Looking for a scapegoat, sometimes it just is the guns. It's just the guns. And there are things that you can do about it. But I do think that this is one, and I think this is a conversation. I think there's a capacity to find solutions on this that work. Second Amendment, protect our children.
What a fucking terrible thing to say. Oh my
Let's turn now
God.
to the top contributor to inflation, the high cost of housing and rent. There's a shortage of more than 4 million homes in the United States, and that contributes to the high housing prices. Governor Walz, the Harris campaign promises a $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers and a $10,000 tax credit. They also promise to build 3 million new homes. Where are you building these homes, and will handing out that kind of money just drive up prices higher?
No, it's not handing out your head. First, let me say this issue of housing, and I think those of you listening, the problem we have is that we've got a lot of folks that see housing as another commodity. It can be bought up, it can be shifted, it can be moved around. Those are not things really want. Those of you listening tonight, that house is a big deal. I bought a house in my life. My mom still lives in a house right.
Wait, since when did she have tattoos?
I'm thinking of Christmas services after you get mass when you go with your family. We need to make it more affordable. This program is pushing forward and bringing a new way of approaching this. The second we're doing in Minnesota, we in the state invested in making sure housing is the biggest investment that we'd ever made in housing. It starts to make it easier. We've got some of the red tape. Local folks, look, we can't do it at the federal level, but local folks make it easier to build those homes. And then that down payment assistance. I can tell all of you out there, one of the, certainly for me, using the GI Bill was one thing, but a veteran's home loan, the big thing about a veteran's home loan is you don't have to pay the down payment. Those are things that make it there. Now, look, you're going to pay it back, and you're going to pay your mortgage. Those are things that we know in the long run, the appreciated value, the generational wealth that's created from it. And I will give Minneapolis an example. Minneapolis is the one city where we've seen the lowest inflation rates. We've seen a 12% increase in stock because we put some of these things in. And we're implementing a state program to make sure we give some of that down payment assistance. We get it back.
So when she gets
because here's what we know.
impaled through her spine, yet she was able to stand.
People with stable housing have their kids able to be able to get to school. All of those things in the long run end up saving our money. And that's the thing that I think we should be able to find some common ground in. But we can't blame immigrants for the only reason. That's not the case that's happening in these cities. The fact of the matter is that we don't have enough naturally affordable housing, but we can make sure that the government's there to help kickstart it, create that base.
Governor, your time is up. Senator Vance, as far as your campaign's position, the promise is to seize federal lands to build homes, remove regulation, provide tax breaks, and cut back on immigration, which you say pushes up prices. Where are you going to build all the new homes you're promising, and what part of any of this plan will provide immediate relief? You have 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, Tim just said something that I agree with. We don't want to blame immigrants for higher housing prices, but we do want to blame Kamala Harris for letting in millions of illegal aliens into this country, which does drive up costs. 25 million illegal aliens competing with Americans for scarce homes is one of the most significant drivers of home prices in the country. It's why we have massive increases in home prices that have happened right alongside massive increases in illegal alien populations under Kamala Harris's leadership. Now, Tim just mentioned a bunch of ideas. Now, some of those ideas I actually think are halfway decent, and some of them I disagree with. But the most important thing here is Kamala Harris is not running as a newcomer to politics. She is the sitting vice president. If she wants to enact all of these policies to make housing more affordable, I invite her to use the office that the American people already gave her, not sit around and campaign and do nothing while Americans find the American dream of homeownership completely unaffordable. Now, you asked, Margaret, what would immediately change the equation for American citizens? If you lower energy prices, as Donald Trump says, drill, baby, drill, one of the biggest drivers of housing costs aside from illegal immigration is, think about it. If a truck driver's paying 40% more for diesel, then the lumber he's delivering to the job site to build the house is also going to become a lot more expensive. If we open up American energy, you will get immediate pricing relief for American citizens, not, by the way, just in housing, but in a whole host of other economic goods too.
Senator Vance, you still have
this man is
20
way too
seconds
good.
there. Do you want to answer
I have it.
where? Governor, we will get to you in a moment. But Senator,
He is
where are
too
you going
good
to
at
seize the
this.
federal lands? Can you clarify?
Well, what Donald Trump has said is we have a lot of federal lands that aren't being used for anything. They're not being used for national park. They're not being used, and they could be places where we build a lot of housing. And I do think that we should be opening up building in this country. We have a lot of land that could be used. We have a lot of Americans that need homes. We should be kicking out illegal immigrants who are competing for those homes, and we should be building more homes for the American citizens who deserve to be here.
Senator, your time is up. Governor, I do want to let you respond to the allegation that the vice president is letting in.
Thank you, Harley Dave.
Of course, that's not true. And again, you have the
affecting
facts. I guess we
prices.
agreed not to fact check. I'll check it. That look, crossings are down compared to when Donald Trump left office. But it's again blaming and not trying to find the solution. I was going to ask
look at your note?
Are we going to drill and build houses in the same federal land? And I think when people hear federal lands, these are really important pieces of land. Now, Minnesota doesn't have a lot of federal lands. I know in the western part of the country you do. There's not a lot of federal lands in and around Minneapolis, for example. So the issue is I don't understand the federal lands issue unless we see this, and I worry about this as someone who cares deeply about our national parks and our federal lands. Look, Minnesota, we protect these things. We've got about 20% of the world's fresh water. These lands protect. They're there for a reason. They belong to all of us. But again, this is when you view housing and you view these things as commodities. Like there's a chance to make money here. Let's take this federal land and let's sell it to people for that. I think there's better ways to do this. We've seen it in Minnesota. We're able to refurbish some of these houses. We're able to make some investments. That gets people in. And I'm still on the fact on this. Economists. Senator Vance, you said you don't like the economists. Which economists are saying that it is immigrants that's adding to the cost?
Governor, your time is up. But Senator, on that point, I'd like for you to clarify. There are many contributing factors to high housing costs. What evidence do you have that migrants are part of this problem?
Well, there's a Federal Reserve study that we're happy to share after the debate. We'll put it up on social media, actually, that really drills down on the connection between increased levels of migration, especially illegal immigration, and higher housing prices. Now, of course, Margaret, that's not the entire driver of higher housing prices. It's also the regulatory regime of Kamala Harris. Look, we are a country of builders. We're a country of doers. We're a country of explorers. But we increasingly have a federal administration that makes it harder to develop our resources, makes it harder to build things, and wants to throw people in jail for not doing everything exactly as Kamala Harris says they have to do. And what that means is that you have a lot of people who would love to build homes who aren't able to build homes. I actually agree with Tim Walz. We should get out of this idea of housing as a commodity. But the thing that has most turned housing into a commodity is giving it away to millions upon millions of people who have no legal right to be here.
What are the federal regulations? I deal with this as a governor.
You can very quickly reply.
I'm sorry. I get this as a governor, and I don't necessarily disagree with that. That in some cases, many of those are local. Many of them are state. I don't know which ones are federal, but I think whenever we talk regulations, people think they can get rid of them. I think you want to be able to get out of your house in a fire. I think you want to make sure that it's fireproof and those types of things. So which are the regulations? Because the vice president's not responsible for those. Congress writes those.
Governor, thank you. Gentlemen, we have a lot to get to. You're passionate about the housing crisis, I can tell. But Nora?
Thank you. One of the top problems facing Americans is the high cost of health care. Senator Vance, at the last presidential debate, former President Trump was asked about replacing the Affordable Care Act. In response, he said, "I have concepts of a plan." Since then, Senator, you've talked about changing how chronically ill Americans get health insurance. Can you explain how that would work? And can you guarantee that Americans with pre-existing conditions won't pay more? I'll give you 2 minutes.
Well, of course, we're going to cover Americans with pre-existing conditions. In fact, a lot of my family members have gotten health care. I believe, members of my family actually got private health insurance, at least for the first time, switched off of Medicaid onto private insurance for the first time under Donald Trump's leadership. And I think that, a lot of people have criticized this concepts of a plan remark. I think it's very simple common sense. I think as Tim Walz knows from 12 years in Congress, you're not going to propose a 900-page bill standing on a debate stage. It would bore everybody to tears, and it wouldn't actually mean anything because part of this is the give and take of bipartisan negotiation. Now, when Donald Trump was actually president, and again, he has a record to be proud of, prescription drugs fell in 2018 for the first time in a very long time. Under Kamala Harris's leadership, prescription drugs are up about 7%. Under Donald Trump's entire 4 years, they were up about 1.5%. He introduced pricing transparency. Think about healthcare. You go into a hospital, you try to buy something, and nobody knows what it actually costs. That price transparency will actually give American consumers a little bit more choice and will also drive down costs. And we talked about, you know, the reinsurance regulations is what I was talking about. Look, Donald Trump has said that if we allow states to experiment a little bit on how to cover both the chronically ill but the non-chronically ill, it's not just a plan. He actually implemented some of these regulations when he was president of the United States. And I think you can make a really good argument that it salvaged Obamacare, which was doing disastrously until Donald Trump came along. And I think this is an important point about President Trump. Of course, you don't have to agree with everything that President Trump has ever said or ever done. But when Obamacare was crushing under the weight of its own regulatory burden and healthcare costs, Donald Trump could have destroyed the program. Instead, he worked in a bipartisan way to ensure that Americans had access to affordable care. It's not perfect, of course, and there's so much more that we can do, but I think that Donald Trump has earned the right to put in place some better healthcare policies. He's earned it because he did it successfully the first time.
Governor?
All right, here's where being an old guy gives you some history. I was there at the creation of the ACA. And the reason it was so important is I come from a major healthcare state, home of the Mayo Clinic, home of the Medical Alley, 3M, Medtronic, all of those. We understand healthcare. It's why we're ranked first on affordability and accessibility and quality of healthcare. And so what I know is under Kamala Harris, more people are covered than they have before. Those of you listening, this is critical to you. Now, Donald Trump all of a sudden wants you. Go back and remember this. He ran on the first thing he was going to do on day one was to repeal Obamacare. On day one, he tried to sign an executive order to repeal the ACA. He signed on to a lawsuit to repeal the ACA, but lost at the Supreme Court. And he would have repealed the ACA had it not been for the courage of John McCain to save that bill. Now, fast forward, what that means to you is you lose your pre-existing conditions. If you're sitting at home and you got asthma, too bad. If you're a woman, probably not. Broke your foot during football, might kick you out. Your kids get kicked out when they're 26. Kamala Harris negotiated drug prices for the first time with Medicare.
Kamala Harris?
Drugs that will come online, the most common ones that'll be there. But look, this issue, and when Donald Trump said, I got a concept of a plan, it cracked me up as a fourth grade teacher because my kids would have never given me that. But what Senator Vance just explained might be worse than a concept, because what he explained is pre-Obamacare. And I'll make this as simple as possible because I've done this for a long time. What they're saying is, if you're healthy, why should you be paying more? So what they're going to do is let insurance companies pick who they insure, because guess what happens? You pay your premium, it's not much. They figure they're not going to have to pay out to you. But those of you a little older, gray, got cancer, you're going to get kicked out of it. That's why the system didn't work. Kamala Harris will protect and enhance the ACA.
Governor, thank you. Senator, you have not yet explained how you would protect people with pre-existing conditions or laid out that plan.
Well, look, we currently have laws and regulations in place right now that protect people with pre-existing conditions. We want to keep those regulations in place, but we also want to make the health insurance marketplace function a little bit better. Now, what Governor Walz just said is actually not true. A lot of what happened, and the reason that Obamacare was crushing under its own weight, is that a lot of young and healthy people were leaving the exchanges. Donald Trump actually helped address that problem, and he did so in a way that preserved people's access to coverage who had pre-existing conditions. But again, something that these guys do is they make a lot of claims about if Donald Trump becomes president, all of these terrible consequences are going to ensue. But in reality, Donald Trump was president. Inflation was low, take-home pay was higher, and he saved the very program from a Democratic administration that was collapsing and would have collapsed absent his leadership. He did his job, which is govern in a bipartisan way and get results, not just complain about problems, but actually solve them.
Governor, did enrollment under the Affordable Care Act go up under the Trump administration?
It's higher now that we've seen it go up. Look, people are using it. The system works. And the question about this, of young people or whatever, that's the individual mandate piece of this. And Republicans fought tooth and nail saying, well, Americans should be free to do this. Well, then what happens
you think the individual mandate's a good idea?
I think the idea of making sure the risk pool is broad enough to cover everyone, that's the only way insurance works. When it doesn't, it collapses. You are asking pre-ACA where we get people out. Look, people know that they need to be on health care. People expect it to be there. And when we are able to make it, and we are making it this way, when we incentivize people to be in the market, when we help people who might not be able to afford it get there, and we make sure then when you get sick and old, it's there for you. Because I heard people say, well, I don't want to buy into Medicare.
That's not moving.
Good luck buying health care once you get past 70. So look, the ACA works. We can continue to do better. Kamala Harris did that. The way she made everything better was negotiating those 10 drugs on Medicare for the first time in American history.
Thank you. Margaret?
Can I address that?
I apologize. We're out of time. We have a number of subjects to discuss. Margaret?
Let's talk about families in America. There is a child care crisis in this country, and the United States is one of the very few developed countries in the world without a national paid leave program for new parents. Governor Walz, you said that if Democrats win both the White House and Congress, this is a day one priority for you. How long should employers be required to pay workers while they are home taking care of their newborns? You have 2 minutes.
Yeah, well, that's negotiable, and that's what Congress worked. But here's what the deal is. Americans sitting out there right now, you may work for a big company. Look, we're home in Minnesota to some of the largest Fortune 500 companies. Kamala Harris knows that in California. Those companies provide paid family medical leave. One is, I think they're moral and they think it's a good thing, but it also keeps their employees healthy. We in Minnesota passed a paid family medical leave. You have a child,
you're in the fucking wall.
And I had to go back to work 5 days after my kids were born. This allows you to stay home a certain amount of time.
What is this, Star Killer
What we know
base?
is that gets the child off to a better start, the family works better, they stay in their employers, we get more consistency in that. So Kamala Harris has made it a priority. We implemented it in Minnesota and we see growth. That's how you become a pro-business state. But the negotiations on it, and here's the issue, those big companies are able to offer it. Those of you out there who don't have it, just imagine what happens if you get cancer or your child gets sick. We know what happens. You end up staying home. In some cases, that means no paycheck because you've got no protection on that. This is the case of an economy that Donald Trump has set for the wealthiest amongst us. He's willing to give those tax breaks to the wealthiest. He's willing to say, bust those unions up, do whatever. What we're saying is the economy works best when it works for all of us. And so a paid family medical leave program, and I will tell you, go to the families or go to the businesses and ask them. As far as child care on this, you have to take it at both the supply and the demand side. You can't expect the most important people in our lives to take care of our children or our parents to get paid the least amount of money. And we have to make it easier for folks to be able to get into that business and then to make sure that folks are able to pay for that. We were able to do it in Minnesota, and I'm still telling you this. We were listed as the best state. We're still in crisis on this. A federal program of paid family and medical leave and help with this will enhance our workforce, enhance our families, and make it easier to have the children that you want.
Governor, your time is up. Senator, do you support a national paid leave program? And if so, for how long should employers be mandated to pay their employees while they are home taking care of their newborn? You have 2 minutes.
Yeah, well, first of all, Margaret, a number of my Republican colleagues and some Democrats, too, have worked on this issue. And I think there is a bipartisan solution here because a lot of us care about this issue. I mean, look, I speak from this very personally because I'm married to a beautiful woman who's an incredible mother to our 3 beautiful kids, but is also a very, very brilliant corporate litigator. And I'm so proud of her. But being a working mom, even for somebody with all of the advantages of my wife, is extraordinarily difficult. And it's not just difficult from a policy perspective. She actually had access to paid family leave because she worked for a bigger company. But the cultural pressure on young families and especially young women, I think makes it really hard for people to choose the family model they want. A lot of young women would like to go back to work immediately. Some would like to spend a little time home with the kids. Some would like to spend longer at home with the kids. We should have a family care model that makes choice possible. And I think this is a very important substantive difference between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris's approach. I mean, look, if you look at the federal programs that we have to support paid family leave right now, the Community Development Block Grant, and there's another block grant program that spends a lot of money from the federal government. these programs only go to one kind of childcare model. Let's say you'd like your church maybe to help you out with childcare. Maybe you live in a rural area or an urban area and you'd like to get together with families in your neighborhood to provide childcare in the way that makes the most sense. You don't get access to any of these federal monies. We want to promote choice in how we deliver family care and how we promote childcare, because look, it is unacceptable. And, you know, of course, Tim and I have been on the campaign trail a lot the past 7 or 8 weeks. And one of the biggest complaints I hear from young families is people who feel like they don't have options, like they're choosing between going to work or taking care for their kids. That is an incredible burden to put on American families. We're the only country that does it. I think we could do a heck of a lot better.
Senator, thank you. You have also said, Senator Vance, many things about the American family. The Federal Reserve says parents will spend nearly as much on child care as they do on housing each month. So I want to get your thoughts on this. President Trump recently said, as much as child care is talked about as being expensive, it's relatively speaking not very expensive compared to the kinds of numbers we'll be taking in. Is President Trump committed to the $5,000 per child tax credit that you have described? You have 1 minute.
Well, what President Trump said, Margaret, I just want to defend my running mate here a little bit, is that we're going to be taking in a lot of money by penalizing companies for shipping jobs overseas and penalizing countries who employ slave laborers and then ship their products back into our country and undercut the wages of American workers. It's the heart of the Donald Trump economic plan. Cut taxes for American workers and American families. Cut taxes for businesses that are hiring and building companies in the United States of America, but penalize companies and countries that are shipping jobs overseas. That's the heart of the economic proposal. And I think what President Trump is saying is that when we bring in this additional revenue with higher economic growth, we're going to be able to provide paid family leave, child care options that are viable and workable for a lot of American families.
Can you clarify how that will solve the child care shortage?
Well, because as Tim said, a lot of the child care shortage is we just don't have enough resources going into the multiple people who could be providing family care options. And we're going to have to, unfortunately, look, we're going to have to spend more money. We're going to have to induce more people to want to provide child care options for American families, because the reason it's so expensive right now is because you've got way too few people providing this very essential service.
Thank you, Senator. Governor Walz, your ticket also has some child care tax credit proposals. Do you think Congress will agree to the $6,000 credit for newborns and $3,000 credit for children over the age of 6, as your campaign has promised? Is that realistic?
Well, if these members of Congress are listening to anybody, I can tell you, and this is the biggest issue. Everybody listening tonight knows. I mean, I'm sure they were shocked to hear it's not that expensive. And let's be clear, whether it's $5,000 or $6,000, that plays you about 3 or 4 months. Let's be clear of where we're at on this. It's because we got out of an imbalance on this. We thought we were going to get by not paying people. I don't think Senator Vance and I are that far apart. I'm not opposed to what he's talking about on options. We've done scholarship types of things. I think we need to be open to making the case. But the issue here is, the question you asked is, you're not going to pay for it with these tariffs. That's just adding another $4,000 on the family and taking less. So not only do they not get the money to pay for that, they're $4,000 in the hole. That's Wharton School. That's his alma mater. And so I think the issue here is, if those members of Congress, I can't believe they're not. When I go to businesses, sure, they'll talk about taxes sometime, but they will lead with childcare and they will lead with housing. Because we know the problem is, especially in a state like Minnesota, we need more workers because our economy's growing, but we need the workforce.
Governor, thank you. We need to move on. Nora?
Let's talk about the state of democracy, the top issue for Americans after the economy and inflation. After the 2020 election, President Trump's campaign and others filed 62 lawsuits contesting the results.
Let's try again.
Judges, including those appointed by President Trump and other Republican presidents, looked at the evidence and said
here we
there was
go.
no
Here we
fraud.
fucking go.
The governors of every state in the nation, Republicans and Democrats, certified the 2020 election results and sent a legal slate of electors to Congress before January 6th. Senator Vance, you have said you would not have certified the last presidential election and would have asked the states to submit alternative electors. That has been called unconstitutional and illegal. Would you again seek to challenge this year's election results, even
This
if
is a
every
trap. I see you,
governor
Valiant. I'll get you in
certifies
just a
the
minute, brother.
results? I'll give you 2 minutes.
Well, Nora, first of all, I think that we're focused on the future. We need to figure out how to solve the inflation crisis caused by Kamala Harris's policies,
Perfect.
make housing affordable, make groceries affordable, and that's what we're focused on. But I want to answer your question because you did ask it. Look, what President Trump has said is that there were problems in 2020, and my own belief is that we should fight about those issues, debate those issues peacefully in the public square, and that's all I've said, and that's all that Donald Trump has said. Remember, he said that on January the 6th, the protesters ought to protest peacefully. And on January the 20th, what happened? Joe Biden became the president, Donald Trump left the White House, and now, of course, unfortunately, we have all of the negative policies that have come from the Harris-Biden administration. I believe that we actually do have a threat to democracy in this country, but unfortunately, it's not the threat to democracy that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz want to talk about. It is the threat of censorship. It's Americans casting aside lifelong friendships because of disagreements over politics. It's big technology companies silencing their fellow citizens. And it's Kamala Harris saying that rather than debate and persuade her fellow Americans, she'd like to censor people who engage in misinformation. I think that is a much bigger threat to democracy than anything that we've seen in this country in the last 4 years. I think it's silent friendships because of disagreements over politics. It's big technology companies silencing their fellow citizens. And it's Kamala Harris saying that rather than debate and persuade her fellow Americans, she'd like to censor people who engage in misinformation. I think that is a much bigger threat to democracy than anything that we've seen in this country in the last 4 years, in the last 40 years. Now, I'm really proud, especially given that I was raised by two lifelong blue-collar Democrats, to have the endorsement of Bobby Kennedy Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard, lifelong leaders in the Democratic coalition. And of course, they don't agree with me and Donald Trump on every issue. We don't have to agree on every issue, but we're united behind a basic American First Amendment principle that we ought to debate our differences. We ought to argue about them. We ought to try to persuade our fellow Americans. Kamala Harris is engaged in censorship at an industrial scale. She did it during COVID. She's done it over a number of other issues, and that to me is a much bigger threat to democracy than what Donald Trump said when he said that protesters should peacefully protest on January the 6th.
Governor?
This man is next level.
Well, I've enjoyed tonight's debate, and I think there was a lot of commonality here, and I'm sympathetic to misspeaking on things, and I think I might have with the senator.
Thank you, Valiant. Thank you, Valiant.
No, that this one is troubling to me, and I say that because I think we need to tell the story. Donald Trump refused to acknowledge this, and the fact is that I don't think we can be the frog in the pot and let the boiling water go up. It's very clear. I mean, he lost this election, and he said he did. 140 police officers were beaten at the Capitol that day, some with the American flag, several later died. And it wasn't just in there. In Minnesota, a group gathered on the state capitol grounds in St. Paul and said, we're marching to the governor's residence and there may be casualties. And there was my son and his dog, who was rushed out crying by state police.
He's an officer in the Imperial Security Bureau.
That issue, and Mike Pence standing there as they were chanting, hang Mike Pence. Mike Pence made the right decision. So, Senator, it was
you will give me access to the terminal.
No, I worked with kids long enough to know, and I said as a football coach, sometimes you really want to win, but the democracy is bigger than winning an election.
You're authorized.
You shake
Access
hands, and then you try and do everything you can to help the other side win.
Let's both do it.
That's what was at stake here. Now, the thing I'm most concerned about is the idea that imprisoning your political opponents, already laying the groundwork for people not accepting this. And a president's words matter. A president's words matter. People hear that. So I think this issue of settling our differences at the ballot box, shaking hands when we lose, being honest about it, but to deny what happened on January 6th, the first time in American history that a president or anyone tried to overturn a fair election. And here we are 4 years later in the same boat. I will tell you this, that when this is over, we need to shake hands this election, and the winner needs to be the winner. This has got to stop. It's tearing our country apart.
Margaret. Senator Vance, did you want to respond to that?
Yeah, well, look, Tim, first of all, it's really rich for Democratic leaders to say that Donald Trump is a unique threat to democracy when he peacefully gave over power on January the 20th, as we have done for 250 years in this country.
Thank
We're
you.
going to shake hands after this debate and after this election. And of course, I hope that we win, and I think we're going to win. But if Tim Walz is the next vice president, he'll have my prayers, he'll have my best wishes, and he'll have my help whenever he wants it. But we have to remember that for years in this country, Democrats protested the results of elections. Hillary Clinton in 2016 said that Donald Trump had the election stolen by Vladimir Putin because the Russians bought like $500,000 worth of Facebook ads. This has been going on for a long time. And if we want to say that we need to respect the results of the election, I'm on board. But if we want to say, as Tim Walz is saying, that this is just a problem that Republicans have had, I don't buy that.
Copy that.
Go ahead, Tim.
January 6th was Facebook ads. And I think of revisionist history on this. I
I'll let you kill me.
don't understand how we got to this point. The issue was that happened. Donald Trump can do it. And all of us say there's no place for this. It has massive repercussions. This idea that there's censorship to stop people from threatening to kill someone, threatening to do something, that's not censorship. Censorship is book ban. We've seen that. We've seen that brought up. I just think for everyone tonight, and I'm going to thank Senator Vance, I think this is the conversation they want to hear. And I think there's a lot of agreement. This is one that we are miles apart on. It's a threat to our democracy in a way that we have not seen. And it manifested itself in the Did he lose the 2020 election?
Tim, I'm focused on the future. Did Kamala Harris censor Americans from speaking their minds in the wake of the 2020 COVID situation?
That is a damning non-answer.
It's a damning non-answer for you to not talk about censorship. Obviously, Donald Trump and I think that there were problems in 2020. We've talked about it. I'm happy to talk about it further. But you guys attack us for not believing in democracy. The most sacred right under the United States democracy is the First Amendment. You yourself have said there's no First Amendment right to misinformation. Kamala Harris wants to use the power of government and big tech to silence people from speaking their minds. That is a threat to democracy that will long outlive this present political moment. I would like Democrats and Republicans to both reject censorship. Let's persuade one another. Let's argue about ideas, and then let's come together afterwards.
You can't yell fire in a crowded theater.
He's too good.
That's the test. That's the Supreme Court test.
Tim, fire in a crowded theater. You guys wanted to kick people off of Facebook for saying that toddlers should
Senator,
wear
the governor
masks.
does have the floor.
Fire in a crowded theater. That is criticizing the policies of the government, which is the right of every American.
Senator, the governor does have the floor for 1 minute to respond to you.
Yeah. Well, I don't run Facebook. What I do know is I see a candidate out there who refused, and now again, and this I'm pretty shocked by this. He lost the election. This is not a debate. It's not. It's not anything anywhere other than in Donald Trump. When Mike Pence made that decision to certify that election, that's why Mike Pence isn't on this stage. What I'm concerned about is, where is the firewall with Donald Trump?
Thank you for reminding us how much of an upgrade we have. Thank you.
He could do anything, including taking an election, and his vice president's not going to stand to it. That's what we're asking you, America. Will you stand up? Will you keep your oath of office, even if the president? And I think Kamala Harris would agree. She wouldn't have taken that because, of course, that's what you do. So, America, I think you've got a really clear choice on this election of who's going to honor that democracy and who's going to honor Donald Trump.
Governor, your time is up. Thank you, gentlemen. We will be right back with both of our candidates.
So, thank you, Tim Walz. Thank you for making us realize that Donald Trump has clearly improved upon his decision making. Because last time around,
in the database.
he picked Mike Pence. This time,
here, all right.
JD Vance
Place in the
is
quarters.
incredible. Like, this right here is an absolutely amazing performance by JD Vance. I am blown away. I can't believe it. And also, I missed this earlier, but I did tweet this out, but I missed this earlier. This is Tim Walz right here. Here we go.
School shooters, I've seen it. Look, the NRA, I was an NRA guy for a long time. They used to become friends with school shooters.
What? I didn't catch that earlier. And then Trump tweeted out on True Social, did Tampon Tim just say that he's become friends with school shooters? He isn't even qualified to be governor, let alone vice president. Walls and Kamala do not have what it takes. So yes, that is over on my Twitter right there. So if you guys want to go check that out, you can. But going back to the live feed, so listen, JD Vance, I'll say this, and JD Vance is on 100%. This dude is about as good and smooth of a debater as I have ever seen. The fact is it does kind of make you realize how much of a bull in a china shop Donald Trump is, because when Donald Trump is involved in these things, he just creates so much chaos, and that's why we love him, because Trump is an unstoppable force that he's like a hurricane, man. When Trump is in there, he just creates so much havoc. It's so awesome, dude. Trump is such a freaking mad lad, and I love it. But yes, in terms of like JD Vance and what he's doing tonight, JD Vance is absolutely phenomenal. This is one of the best debate performances I've ever seen. This has been absolutely awesome. This has been crazy. And Walls looks like a complete idiot. It looks like a complete idiot. But yes, somebody just said it, a great pairing. Yeah, like the pairing of Trump and JD Vance is perfect. Because, yeah, I mean, when Trump is on a debate stage, dude, it's just, he commands so much attention. Like he just, no, everything is about Donald Trump. I mean, even tonight, all Tim Walz has talked about is Donald Trump. That's the only thing he's talked about is Trump, 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 Trump. They're all obsessed with him. Thank you, Harley Day, for the 50 gifted memberships. You guys have been insane tonight with the support. Valiant Renegade with the big funding. If the left was as competitive as the fake news gaslights and polls want you to believe, then why are the left corrupted entertainment and gaming failing at epic levels? Some argue they can manipulate vote counts. It seems they can't manipulate the free market. Hail Valiant Renegade, doing fantastic work over there on this channel. Thank you, Valiant. Good to see you, brother. And yeah, man, this has been a clinic. This has been an absolute clinic from JD Vance. I am very impressed with JD Vance. This has been amazing. So yeah, clearly, listen, I think that's the thing that you could take away from this more than anything is if this is where Donald Trump's decision making has evolved to, because clearly when it comes to the political side of things in 2016, if you want to criticize anything about Donald Trump, the people he surrounded himself with were not good in 2016. If JD Vance, if everything around Trump is going to go from Mike Pence to JD Vance, boys, we are so back.
Let's go.
We are so back. And I think that kind of speaks for itself, because if you do look at the Trump administration in 2016 versus what Trump has now, Trump, the people he surrounded himself with, JD Vance, Vivek, RFK, Elon Musk, Tulsi Gabbard, like Trump is surrounding himself with the MAGA Avengers, is pretty much what he's done.
Welcome back to the CBS News Vice Presidential Debate. It is now time for the closing statement. Senator Vance won the virtual coin toss and elected to go last. So, Governor Walz, you are first. You have 2 minutes.
Well, thank you, Senator Vance. Thank you to CBS News. And most importantly, thank you to all of you. If you're still up and the folks who miss Dancing with Their Stars, I appreciate it. But look, the support of the democracy matters. It matters that you're here. And I'm as surprised as anybody of this coalition that Kamala Harris has built, from Bernie Sanders to Dick Cheney to Taylor Swift, and a whole bunch of folks in between them. And they don't all agree on everything, but they are truly optimistic people. They believe in a positive future of this country, and one where our politics can be better than it is. And I have to tell you, that better than it is the sense of optimism that there can be an opportunity economy that works for everyone, not just to get by, but to get ahead. And the idea that freedom really means something. Not the freedom of government to be in your bedroom or exam room, but the freedom for you to make choices by yourself. Now look, we all know who Donald Trump is. He's told us, and as Maya Angelou said, we need to do that. His first inaugural address talked about American carnage. And then he's spent 4 years trying to maybe do that. Senator Vance tonight made it clear he will stand with Donald Trump's agenda. He will continue to push down that road. Excuse me. Kamala Harris gives us a different option. Now, I'll have to tell you, I'm going to be careful about the quote, but there's one that Senator Vance said that does resonate with me. He said, Donald Trump makes the people I care about afraid. A lot of America feels that way. We don't need to be afraid. Franklin Roosevelt was right. All we have to fear is fear itself. Kamala Harris is bringing us a new way forward. She's bringing us a politics of joy. She's bringing real solutions for the middle class, and she's centering you at the heart of that. All the while asking everyone, join this movement, make your voices heard. Let's look for a new day where everybody gets that opportunity and everybody gets a chance to thrive. I humbly ask for your vote on November 5th for Kamala Harris.
Governor Walz, thank you. Senator Vance, your closing statement.
Well, I want to thank Governor Walz, you folks at CBS, and of course the American people for tuning in this evening. And one of the issues we didn't talk about was energy. And I remember when I was being raised by my grandmother, when she didn't have enough money to turn on the heat some nights because Ohio gets pretty cold at night and because money was often very tight. And I believe, as a person who wants to be your next vice president, that we are a rich and prosperous country where every American, whether they're rich or poor, ought to be able to turn on their heat in the middle of a cold winter night. That's gotten more difficult thanks to Kamala Harris's energy policies. I believe that whether you're rich or poor, you ought to be able to afford a nice meal for your family. That's gotten harder because of Kamala Harris's policies. I believe that whether you're rich or poor, you ought to be able to afford to buy a house. You ought to be able to live in safe neighborhoods. You ought to not have your communities flooded with fentanyl. And that, too, has gotten harder with because of Kamala Harris's policies. Now, I've been in politics long enough to do what Kamala Harris does. When she stands before the American people and says that on day one, she's going to work on all these challenges I just listed. She's been the vice president for 3.5 years. Day one was 1,400 days ago, and her policies have made these problems worse. Now, I believe that we have the most beautiful country in the world. I meet people on the campaign trail who can't afford food, but have the grace and generosity to ask me how I'm doing and to tell me they're praying for my family. What that has taught me is that we have the greatest country, the most beautiful country, the most incredible people anywhere in the world. But they're not going to be able to achieve their full dream with the broken leadership that we have in Washington. They're not going to be able to live their American dream if we do the same thing that we've been doing for the last 2.5 years. We need change. We need direction. We need a president who's already done this once before and did it well. Please vote for Donald Trump. Whether you vote for me or vote for Tim Walz, I just want to say I'm so proud to be doing this, and I'm rooting for you. God bless you, and good night.
Senator Vance, thank you. And thank you both. The only vice presidential debate of this election cycle. I'm Margaret Brennan.
And I'm Nora O'Donnell. And a reminder, there are just 35 days until Election Day.
So there you go. Wow. What a crazy night that was absolutely dominated by JD Vance. I mean, there is no rational person that's going to tell you that JD Vance didn't just wipe the floor. That's exactly what he did. That was an absolute destruction, man. Holy crap. Harley Dave for 50 says, first of all you figs of IDOT, let this message be known. There is either Trump or nothing. Look at what they are doing to us in the mountains of North Carolina. Screw Swifties and to hell with anyone who stops you from being amazing. Vote for freedom. 1,000%. Want that. Thank you, Harley David. I'm sorry about the North Carolina situation, brother. Let's hear what they're saying.
Of the top of the news today, which is the Middle East and the kinds of foreign policy surprises that hit any president.
I want to hear the
Tim
spin.
Walz made
I want to hear the
that
spin.
Donald Trump's temperament is unfit for any kind of surprise, cited the members of the Trump administration who have attested to that. Vance came back and said there were no wars during the Trump administration. On the economy, I'll make a political point, which is that what Vance did was something Donald Trump was incapable of doing during his presidential debate, which is repeatedly saying, if Kamala Harris was going to do these things, why didn't she in office? Now, whether voters
Well, that's because Trump was facing a 3 versus 1.
and a variety of other items under Biden. But returning to that political point has worked in the past for Donald Trump against Hillary Clinton. We'll see if it works this time. I'd like to make a final point on tone. The J.D. Vance on that stage was very different than what people may have seen in podcasts. But then there was an air of unreality about it. He talked about bipartisan solutions with nuance of a kind we never saw during the Trump administration. He talked about Donald Trump almost as the defender of the Affordable Care Act. Donald Trump tried to kill the Affordable Care Act. And then I think at the very end of the debate, we saw something extraordinary. Tim Walz asked J.D. Vance if Donald Trump lost the election. He was incapable of answering.
Nobody gives a fuck about that answer.
Can only get so far from the man at the top of the ticket. And that was on display in that one moment, although J.D. Vance was a different kind of person than we've seen in many instances.
John, I think what you're saying is so important when we
All right, well, we don't care about what these clowns have to say. As a matter of fact, I do want to switch it over. I do have my YouTube TV. Let me see if I can pull up YouTube TV really quick. I do want to hear kind of like what some of the reaction is, because like I said, it's clear that this was an absolute beatdown beyond belief for J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance dominated. Absolutely dominated beyond belief. So let's see. Let me know if you guys can hear this.
Child care, and yet Vance seemed to take it all in stride, and he really, I think, with most questions, really showed his humanity and also his knowledge of the issues. I don't think he could have done better under the circumstances, and I think that is very reassuring to the public. We thought he was perhaps an ogre or anti-woman or didn't like kids or some strange concoction of the stereotype that they were selling.
Harold, I don't disagree with anything that's been said. I was listening to some of the issues, and really what I was looking for at the very beginning. Was he likable? Were the candidates likable and optimistic? I think they both were. I think
that is bullshit. Tim Walz was weird. Tim Walz was flustered. He was awkward. He was looking at notes, and he said that he's friends with school shooters. No, Tim Walz was not likable at all, Harold. Quit lying.
Vance probably had a little better edge there because all the things that have been said about him. Were they smart and knowledgeable? There's no doubt both were, but at the beginning it seemed that Governor Walz was a little rattled. And Senator Vance came out stronger and certainly sure of himself, which helped him well. Were they relatable? I thought both of them. One of the more remarkable things is they seemed to like each other. They shook hands. They talked about things they agreed on child care and other things. I agree with you. Abortion was where he really got his stride point. And finally, can you see both of them as president? I think, Senator Vance did himself.
There ain't a chance in hell you can see Tim Walz as president. There is not a chance in hell. No rational thinking person is going to say that I can.
So it's true. Seer's dead because of you.
No. The Jeddah operation is still months away.
You're lying. The Empire burned the archives, led by Darth Vader.
Lord Vader. I have to stop this while I still can. Don't you see? Bode lured you here to destroy me. They're coming. Dead man, let's...
Huh. Yeah.
Can see Tim Walz as president. There's not a single person that can say that. You 100% could see J.D. Vance as president. You could see J.D. Vance as president 100%.
A good job, man. He's a young guy. Walz is a little older, and both of them seem to had some confidence in him. But there's no question on the economy, on immigration.
Damn, dog.
The Republicans still have the advantage on January 6th and abortion.
Now, Tim Walz looks like that. Tim Walz looks like that older guy that's been through way too many divorces, and he has to work a part-time job that he hates, but that's the only thing that he's got at his point in life, that because he screwed up his life so much. So he's that guy that, I don't know, you see working overnight at a convenience store or something because he's had 3 or 4 divorces, and he keeps screwing up everything in life, and he's just really awkward and he's really unhinged. That's Tim Walz.
Christian and healthcare. Republicans have it on the other, Democrats have it on that.
You know, Dana, obviously the Trump-Vance side is trying to reach out to improve those numbers with women. On the other side, for Harris and Waltz, they need to improve their numbers with men. And you could feel both of them trying to do that at times tonight. Did they succeed?
Well, Vance did and Waltz did not. You can understand why the Democrats spent the entire week trying to lower expectations for.
Hey, no disrespect to the part-time workers. I was a retail working man, okay? I worked retail for a long time, so I respect the retail working man, okay?
That's exactly my point.
There were some people I worked with that reminded me of Tim Walz, okay? I'm like, did we just hire this guy? This guy's clearly struck out in life a lot, and now he's basically working with us, and we're all sitting around talking about video games and sports, and this old man's like, "Hey, how you doing, fellow co-workers?" We're like, "You're weird. Get away from us."
For Walz, the only problem is for Democrats, they underperformed because the expectations should have been even lower than that. For any Republican or independent who is concerned about Vance, I actually think on the other side,
Does that make you want to play
so
as
many
the
Democrats tonight
SS
saying,
dog?
why
Why do you think a
did
Jedi
Kamala
tried to
Harris
infiltrate
not
the
pick
space?
Governor Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania, because I think that might have been a different debate. Vance made a concerted effort to talk directly to swing voters. I don't think it was just women, but certainly men who might have been on the fence. I don't know what Waltz did on that point for men. I do think that you're going to see a lot of the media say, why can't Vance just say Trump didn't win in 2020? And they're going to try to hang that on him. And I think there will not be another debate, but I wouldn't be surprised if Kamala Harris doesn't want that to be the last word on a national stage.
35 days left, and that could have been the last debate. We'll see. That's what they're saying right now. Jesse, your thoughts?
State your business.
Vance made zero mistakes. And
what is the
Waltz
nature
made
of
two.
this appointment?
Said he was friends with school shooters. And then could.
It's such a bad line, dude. You can't recover from that.
Central Command should have called that in.
You can't recover.
We're going to have to
from
call
that.
in a security
Explain
droid.
why he
Stay
was
right
in
there.
China or wasn't
Send down a security
in China.
droid.
That was
Is this necessary?
very strange.
All right, let's
I
just
can't
play
make
that
it.
soundbite. I think
I'm
it's
late
X4.
as it
Let's
is.
just play that moment
Let
where he
me
gets
through now.
I can't, not without security clearance.
Are they going to play it?
X4, the Waltz questioning the
Hey,
discrepancy.
if you guys need some help on like
Governor, just to follow up on that,
good word
the
with
question
Denmark.
was, can you explain
Go on,
the
officer.
discrepancy?
All I said on this was I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So I will just, that's
Thanks
what
for
I
having
said.
my back.
So I
Be
was
ready
in
for anything.
Hong Kong and China during the democracy protest, went in. And from that, I learned a lot of what needed to be in governance.
He said he was in China during Tiananmen Square. I wasn't in China. That's pretty bad. JD Vance, everybody thought this guy was a bad guy. They were saying he was a creep. He looked beautiful tonight. He looked humble. He looked earnest, sharp, 20 years younger than Walz, new generation. I thought he was very polished. And then Walz didn't do what Walz was supposed to do. He didn't help with men tonight. He really never explained what Kamala's policies are. Did you guys get that? I still don't know what she wants to do. And then he talked about Minnesota more than he talked about her.
I'm just gonna be honest. Because I do think Jesse Waters is a very likable guy. Literally any other newscaster that would have just called another man beautiful would have got memed to hell. Jesse Waters, because he's so likable, can get away with it.
JD's best times were when he said, well, housing costs are up now. Groceries up now. Borders open now. She's in power now. Why doesn't she fix it? She can do it right now, and she hasn't. The best line is when he said, Trump doesn't have just a plan. He has a record. And you can look at the record. And then he said, we're going to restore the American dream. CBS was terrible. Second question on climate change. You guys should have been doing this debate. That would not have been the second question.
You know,
I mean, ultimately, and I am going to have to pause this and talk and everything like that because I am reacting to this. But there is the Democrats can try to spin this all they want. And I think that if there's anything that they're going to be able to hang on to desperately, it's going to be the JD Vance answer about the 2020 election. The problem is nobody gives a fuck about that. Okay. That's just the reality of the situation. Nobody gives a shit about the 2020 election. Everybody understands what happened, and everybody has made up their mind on that. So no one's going to look at what JD Vance did or didn't say, and that's not going to sway them. That's not going to sway anybody's opinion. Nobody gives a shit about this. It's over and it's done. You guys have tried to use that against President Trump, and guess what happened? Nothing. He's had historic voting numbers all through this process. You're not going to make any of that stick on him. No one actually cares. So it doesn't matter.
I think it's interesting just listening to you talking, Jesse. I'm thinking about that we saw J.D. Vance as the writer of Hillbilly Elegy tonight. He spoke about fentanyl. He spoke about his mother's inability to pay her medical bills and leaving those on the back burner in order to put food on the table. And I think that he brought that person back. And I know you've spoken about this before, as that's how many people identified with him. And we saw that man again tonight.
Yeah, and I also think that if he and Walz were serving together in Congress, you'd probably see a lot of bipartisan bills. But the top of the ticket is Trump and Harris. So Vance is able to make Trump's case better sometimes than even Trump can. And for those who have tuned out Trump, because it's a long time to listen to somebody for 8 years, right? Some people love it, some people can't take it anymore. But if you have a different voice and you think, oh, this guy, he's not an...
That is what I've said about J.D. Vance. And when I say that he makes Trump's points better than Trump, I don't mean that he's better, that he's a better Trump than Trump. Because Donald, somebody said it earlier in the chat. I can't remember who said it. But Donald Trump is an absolute force. Like, he is a force. The man is just like, his presence just dominates everything. But there are certain people in the middle that still need to be convinced. I'm not sure who these people are in the middle that need to be convinced. At this point in time, 35 days out from this election, I don't know who is still on the fence about Donald Trump, but there are people apparently. And those people don't like Trump's rhetoric, okay? It turns people off. So they tend to not listen to what Donald Trump says because just how aggressive he is and how forceful he is, it turns him off. When J.D. Vance says the same things that Trump says, he says it more articulately. It's easier to understand. It's a lot more calming, and it's a lot easier for them to process it. And that's what J.D. Vance is. That's the best thing he brings to the table right now for Donald Trump, is he can articulate Donald Trump's points better than Donald Trump to the people that most need to hear it right now. That's the best way I can look at it.
Oh, I think that people would have probably paid a lot more attention to him because he could, as Laura was pointing out, he defanged all of the arguments and then answered them with a substantive policy that you could understand and grab a hold of.
There wasn't the needle. Didn't go personal, really, right? Tonight it wasn't a personal, and
Not at each other.
I think J.D. Vance was actually made more human.
Yeah.
by Tim Walz. Tim Walz effectively conceded that J.D. Vance is a serious person, and we agree on some issues. You said this about Trump in the past, and but that was kind of nicked him. It really didn't go deep. And so to Harold's point, I think there actually...
for them to bring up that J.D. Vance said these things about Trump in the past, again, we have to understand, I want to qualify all of the points that I'm trying to make have nothing to do with people like me and the people that watch this channel, because we know what we're doing in terms of, we know who we're voting for, we know who we're supporting, we know that Trump is the easiestly the best choice imaginable to save this country, all right? So what I'm talking about with J.D. Vance is being able to reach across the aisle. So you've had them, the left and the Democrats have been painting this narrative of J.D. Vance, that he's a weird guy, that he's weird, he's strange, he's all of this. Tonight, we learned that J.D. Vance is relatable, that he's smooth under pressure, that he's articulate, and that years ago, and the left tried to do this, years ago J.D. Vance said all of these horrible things about Donald Trump. Well, the people that need to be convinced most probably have similar views of Donald Trump. So to hear that J.D. Vance had those same opinions of Trump until he actually did the research, and now he's gotten to the point where not only is he an advocate for Trump, he's the vice presidential nominee with Donald Trump, and that he has been able to look past those things that he thought were the case because he did research. That only helps Donald Trump. That only helps Donald Trump. These idiots, these leftists don't know what they're doing. They just help Trump every step of the way.
It was kind of a discussion. The moderators were completely biased, but I think J.D. kind of maneuvered that pretty well.
Well, I didn't hear anything from Republicans tonight as I did at the Trump Harris debate. I got a lot of Republican friends saying that was wish this thing went in. Republicans were pleased. My friends tonight were pleased with what.
And you think about this race and how close it is, and you look at this. I mean, listen, is this going to move the needle? Probably not. Could have, maybe. But it probably isn't going to move the needle that much in the big picture of the race. But both men come out of there. Is one stronger than the other? Are we coming to the conclusion that J.D. Vance performed better?
I think so. I think the expectation, I disagreed from the outset about more pressure was on Walz. I thought more pressure was on J.D., on Senator Vance, to say to women and to say to others. And he really didn't even get questioned. He got not a lot of gloves laid on him tonight, not a lot of punches thrown at him tonight. And I thought he presented well. Now, I don't agree with him on a lot of things, but I got to tell you, he was more likable than I thought he was going to be.
And that's exactly what he needed to accomplish, right? I mean, that is, to sort of put some of these issues aside, that's what he needed to do. And the question is, because it is so tight, does this debate have the potential to move the needle even a little bit? Because a little bit's going to be...
When you say it moves the needle, and again, this is the media trying to maybe frame it in the wrong way. Again, I don't know who's still on the fence, but there's a very small group of people that are still on the fence, and they still can be swayed one way or the other. I don't know who they are, but they still exist. Those are the people, like, does it turn the needle in terms of noticing anything? No. But yes, at the last second, it will absolutely have a difference. And J.D. Vance 1,000% won tonight, and 1,000% convinced people, those few people in the middle, that he is not only the right man for the job, but so is Donald Trump. Walz did nothing but confirm that he's a fucking weirdo tonight.
That's going to be the deciding factor between the winner and the loser.
I think if you watch this tonight, you saw Kamala Harris pick this guy because she thought he was going to help with Midwest, Rust Belt, Minnesota. And I think Dana's right. I don't think it moves the needle at all for men. I think J.D. Vance moves the needle a little bit for women.
Okay.
I'm not a woman. Restaurant.
Are you in?
I'm a restaurant.
Back to the restaurant.
I'm going to eat at Trump. I'm not a woman, so I don't know how women are going to receive this. I saw J.D. Vance in a completely different light. I was very impressed by his presentation. Walz didn't have a terrible night.
Yes, he did.
He didn't screw up that badly. He had a few moments, but
yes,
the Democrats are kind of pleased with it. No blood drawn, but in a tight race like that, I think J.D. performed well.
I don't think the Democrats are happy tonight at all. I think they wanted him. I want J.D. out of their mystery.
But the last question that was asked about do you accept the results, the Democrats wanted that question asked. I think Dana's right. To not be able to answer that question, that would be my one knock against J.D. tonight. And I think you showed that Governor Walz said, hey,
All right, shut up, Harold. We don't care about you, but I got to show you guys this really quick from Lady D right here.
Said I got hell.
That is so accurate, dude. The memes right now of Tim Walz are just out of control right now. It really is something else to see these memes. And social media is kind of crazy right now. I mean, everybody's roasting this guy. Everybody. Look at this. Look at this one right here. The memes are glorious. My entire timeline. Oh God, look at this one. Like right here. Look at this. Tim. How do you say that during a national debate? And then also, how do you say, oh my God, look at this. Anna Paulina Luna just tweeted this out. Anna Paulina Luna just tweeted this out. Holy shit. Dude is cooked. Dude is cooked. It's over, bro. Holy shit. I like this one right here. Look at this. Nora O'Donnell with her fact check. JD Vance. Boom. Here's a fact. And that's essentially how it went tonight. JD Vance was a machine, dude. This is still my favorite one though. That's really good. I'm still looking through to see more. There's like there's nobody on the left is even trying to claim victory. Let me see here. I'm looking. There's just so much to look over. I don't know why that's showing up. Megyn Kelly was very complimentary of JD Vance. I saw she had some tweets right there. No way. Did Trump tweet this out? I got to confirm with this. There's no way. There's no way. Hang on. I got to confirm first. I got to go to my True Social app that I do have, by the way. Oh my God, he did. This is from Trump. Trump put this on True Social. Oh no. Holy crap. Oh no. It's over. I can't wait to hear him have to explain that. He is going to have to explain that. He's gonna have to. All right, here we go. We got this one right here. Here we go. Social media is on fire right now for JD Vance. Holy shit. Oh boy. This is crazy. Oh, look at here. Breaking. CNN admits Tim Walz lost the debate. Okay, let's hear this one right here. Here we go.
I think there was a clear lack of preparation and execution here.
I think actually it's the opposite. I think he had too much preparation.
Maybe. Yeah.
He had so many lines that he was clearly trying to say that he didn't listen and said when JD Vance said one of the many things he really hit Kamala Harris on, not Tim Walz, but Kamala Harris. He didn't respond because he clearly had things in his mind. I think the lack of interviews that he has done with national media, with local media, it showed. He needed more reps.
All right, so JD Vance is on Fox right now. I've got it pulled up. Here we go, right here.
It's now the man of the hour. Senator JD Vance is with us. Senator, you know, it was funny. When I first interviewed you at the RNC, we knew each other, but we didn't know each other well. And I was supposed to have you for like a 10-minute interview. I think I kept you there like 30 minutes. But by the way, I hope you're not doing anything for the next half hour. You're welcome to stay.
I don't know if I can stay that long tonight.
And as I was watching you tonight, I felt like you really got a chance to introduce yourself to the American people And I felt it was extraordinarily effective because now that I've gotten to know you, that's the person that I know.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, I just wanted to talk about issues, right? I saw this as an opportunity to get 90 minutes with the American people. It's an unbelievable opportunity for a person who wants to be the next vice president. And you should just make it as much as possible about substance. And, you know, one of the things I tried to do, Sean, obviously is criticize Kamala Harris's record, but also remind the American people that Donald Trump is not the caricature that Kamala Harris and the media have made him out to be, that he was an incredibly effective president for 4 years in the Oval
100%,
Office.
100%.
And he actually solved problems, right? I think most Americans, Democrats, Republicans, people in the middle, they're sick of Congress being like a high-class debating society. They actually want their elected leaders to do something to solve the country's problems.
And I am going to have to pause this because I am reacting to network television. So, yes, I don't know if I've said it yet, but drinking game, how many times I'm going to mention that I don't like Sean Hannity? Because I do not like Sean Hannity. I don't like Sean Hannity at all. But with that said, I don't really care. I can put aside my dislike of Sean Hannity because he is going to be on the front lines with, you know, Trump and Vance and Vivek and everyone else involved, because ultimately it's not about who I like or dislike. It's who's going to be supporting President Trump for the next 35 days. That's all I care about right now.
Donald Trump did that more than any person I've sort of observed in my 40 years of being on this earth, and it was such a good opportunity for me to just make that point to the American people. We had low inflation, things were going well, the world was more peaceful, and actually, Sean, it's an easier argument to make tonight. I can say it because of the incredible tragedy unfolding in Israel, with what looks increasingly like it could become a broader regional conflict. I mean, the world is going to crap, and it looks increasingly more violent. You want steady, proven leadership. That's Donald Trump, not Kamala Harris, the person who has sort of broken the entire world. And I just try to make that point as much as possible, man. Just make it about substance and let the American people make up the mind.
One of the things that were ballistic missiles being fired from Iran into Israel, and I think they got now really fighting.
Someone said, Hannity might be a neocon, or Rhino or whatever, but at least he's been loyal to Trump. And that is true. Hannity has been loyal to Trump. But you know who else he was loyal to? George W. Bush. And I remember watching Fox News all of those years with George W. Bush and watching Hannity. And Hannity was literally taking up for everything that George W. Bush did. He would never criticize George W. Bush. And the whole thing is, I don't think Hannity is loyal to Trump. I think Hannity is loyal to whoever the most influential and powerful person in the Republican Party is, and he's willing to be loyal to whoever that person is. So I don't necessarily think it's Trump that he's loyal to. He's loyal to whoever is the Republican nominee or the Republican frontrunner or whatever. I really can't stand Hannity from that perspective.
And I just know in the back of my mind that there is this radical anti-Israel, anti-Semitic even wing within the Democratic Party that I just believe that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz don't want to alienate. And unfortunately, evil is evil. And Iran, Hezbollah, Hamas, they have in their charter, they've stated over and over, they want to wipe Israel off the map. We hear it in the halls of Congress, college campuses. This is a serious, their very existence is at risk here.
No, that's exactly right. And of course, not just their existence, but America's national security here. I mean, if Iran becomes a regional hegemon, it will have a nuclear weapon the next week. That will seriously endanger the United States of America, because the Iranians have shown they're clearly not rational. But you think about this happened, Sean, because of confused policy and leadership. We ask ourselves, like, how did it get to the point where Iran is launching 200 ICBMs at America's most important regional ally? And the answer is because they don't actually know where Kamala Harris stands. Now, you talk about how they've cozied up to sort of this weird pro-Hamas wing within their own party. Well, they're doing that, of course, because of political reasons, but it shows that confusion that comes out of that policy invites a lot of aggression, invites a lot of bad guys doing terrible things, and it also, Sean, motivates a lot of really stupid policy. 200 ICBMs, that's not cheap. Iran has a lot of other weapons. How did they fund it? Two reasons, Sean. Number one, Kamala Harris went to war against the American energy sector that radically increased the amount of oil revenue the Iranian regime was benefiting from. Number two, they unfroze $100 billion of
I want to show this really quick. Thank you to Madam Savvy for sending this to me. But the Border Patrol Union says the border experts want Donald Trump to be president so that the border can be secured without compromise. Only the drug cartels and Democrats want an open border. And that's what Border Czar Harris has given them and will continue to do in the future. Boom. Another absolute banger. Everybody wants Donald Trump back in office.
Iranian assets. They're effectively handing these guys pallets of cash. The Iranians are buying weapons. Real leadership would be to say, we got something wrong. Let's go in another. Let's do what Donald Trump did. But they just can't do that because of the blind sanctions. They literally made Iran rich, and that allows them to fund these proxy wars. So it's Hamas, Hezbollah, Islamic Jihad, the Houthi rebels, and now the Western firing into Israel. And what's the response to here?
So End Wokeness put out a tweet that said Tim Walz is the first white male DEI hire in history, and it shows. Holy shit. That is one of the best tweets of the night. I'll repeat it one more time. In Wokeness, Tim Walz was the first white male DEI hire in history, and it shows. Oh my God.
Not Sean, because we don't have a president who the president of the United States is, and that's one thing we didn't actually get into the Amazon. For 3.5 years, America has been saddled with the president of the United States who can't do the job. Kamala Harris lied and said he was up to the job of president, and of course he wasn't. And now we're in this really crisis in Appalachia, these terrible floods, a lot of people affected. We've got this regional war breaking out in the Middle East, and we don't have effective American leadership. Look, I think what our response is fundamentally, this is Israel's security, and they have to make the decision about how they're best going to protect their own security. And they need the support of their American allies, not Joe Biden, as confused as he is, standing behind them, effectively promising that he's going to punish them if they dare defend their own sovereignty and their own security. Israel is actually very good at this stuff. It's one of the great things about Israel as an ally, unlike, frankly, a lot of so-called American allies, is they have a viable military. They have a viable intelligence service. They're going to make their own decision about how to protect their sovereignty. I think our role here, support our friends, and also get back to some common sense foreign and economic policies.
This is a good answer.
So that we can be strong enough to respond to the next national security challenge.
Very good answer.
You kept bringing up a point that I felt was very effective in this debate, and that is she's been vice president nearly 4 years. Yeah. And, you know, on day one, I'm going to fix inflation. On day one, I'm going to fix the border. On day one, I'm going to do this and that. And, you know, and Walz kept bringing up the issue of immigration. Yes. You brought up the 90 some odd executive orders that they bragged about.
That's right.
But also for 3 years, they said the border is secure, and Harris wants to decriminalize illegal immigration, offer free food, housing, healthcare, education, sex change operations, amnesty on top of it. And we have all these unvetted illegal immigrants. Now, dozens of Americans have been murdered. I had the parents of 2 of them on last night, Rachel Morin's mom and Jocelyn Nungary. Many Americans have been raped, including children. We have.
That's a very good super chat right there. Yesterday, I was voting for Trump. Today, I'm proud to be voting for Trump Vance. It's time to finish this. It's no longer Make America Great Again. It's Make America Great Forever. Trump Vance 2024. I think that's the biggest thing tonight is that J.D. Vance showed MAGA that he absolutely was the right man for the job. A lot of us, me included, were very skeptical of the choice of J.D. Vance. Questioned it, wondered where Trump was going with this. Why is he making this decision? This makes no sense. I'm not excited. This doesn't galvanize the base. All the shit that people like me were whining about. J.D. Vance came out tonight, and he showed that this is not 2016 Donald Trump in terms of him surrounding himself with the wrong people. This is a new Donald Trump that's going to surround himself with the right people in order to make America great again. That right there is what happened tonight. And that's the best thing I can say about it.
Other victims of violent crime, unvetted Harris-Biden illegals.
Awful.
Okay. The cost is through the roof. And I think America understands it, but you also brought up other aspects, how it impacts education and the economy and housing and the high cost of housing.
Look, man, so much of our problem is actually due to Kamala Harris's open border. You take 25 million illegal aliens, so take a small community, let's say you've got a school district with 4,000 or 5,000 kids. Now all of a sudden you add 1,000 kids who can't speak English through no fault of their own, of course. Yeah. But of course, the American education system, the education for our kids suffers in the process. Hospital wait times. A point I actually didn't get to make this evening, but hospital wait times have gotten longer and longer. Why? Because a lot of illegal aliens go to the hospital emergency room to get medical care. Well, that means American citizens aren't able to be seen by a doctor quickly. Housing is, I think, actually the biggest issue. A major driver of housing costs is that you have millions of foreigners who are illegally in the country who are competing with Americans for scarce homes. That's supply and demand and shoots the cost of housing through the roof. And this is why I talk about substance. My goal was to talk about substance tonight because I think a lot of Americans...
I just want to pause this just for a minute. So we've got a couple of things I want to show you right here. So right there, and then Gina Carano tweets out, I didn't know who J.D. Vance was before his name was brought up to be the running mate with Donald Trump, but I sure know his name now. Great debater, incredibly composed and well-spoken, classy, strong, precise, someone we can all be proud of to call Mr. Vice President. Real Donald Trump made a great pick on this one. He's chosen a loyal man who will stand next to him instead of betray him. Let's go, J.D. Vance. Trump has also picked so many others who have joined his A-list team. You couldn't imagine a better group of people to fix the country. I'm so excited to vote. Tonight was a grand freaking slam, dude. Like, tonight was a grand slam for J.D. Vance.
You can sort of intuitively get this country's leadership has failed it, and I just try to explain as much as possible. Here's why Kamala Harris has been a failure, here's why Donald Trump has been a success, and here's how we're going to clean up the mess that she created.
Let me ask one question as you're on the stage. Tim Walz seemed very nervous. Now, I kind of walked away with the impression, I guess maybe I felt, maybe this is the reason he doesn't do interviews. He seemed, did it come across as nervous to you?
Honestly, I didn't notice it, man. Adrenaline's going so much. I was nervous. I mean, hell, like I do a lot of these interviews, but I was nervous. It's the biggest stage of my life. So I didn't focus so much on his demeanor. I just tried to focus on what he was saying. And look, to be fair to Tim Walz, he had a very tough job. And that is to defend the policies of Kamala Harris that have driven...
Bring that up. Yeah, which he did have a tough job.
He does.
See, dude, this is... I'm telling you, man, JD just continues to prove like he is not here to try to be another Donald Trump. That's the sign of a confident person, a person that can be comfortable in his own skin. He's not trying to be like a combative person like Trump. He's his own man. He's going to act classy. He's going to act respectful. He's not going to take cheap shots. That's just not who he is. So it shows that he's his own man. And he's very confident in who he is. He doesn't have to be like Donald Trump. Donald Trump is Donald Trump, and there's only one Donald Trump. Don't try to be Donald Trump, because you can't be Donald Trump. Be your own man, and that's exactly who he is.
And look, it's Kamala Harris.
But fuck Tim Walz.
Has done this. Her policy failures have made food, housing, energy unaffordable. We just need to change this country. We need to get back to the common sense leadership of Donald Trump. I'm not surprised that Tim couldn't defend that record. Who could? If you put me on the debate stage, I mean, you clearly think I did a good job. I hope that I did a good job. But if you asked me to defend Kamala Harris's record, I'd melt into a puddle because there is no defending what she's done the last 3.5 years.
Let's talk about the number one issue in just about every poll for most Americans is the economy.
Yeah.
I mean, we have record high inflation. When Donald Trump left office, it was 1.4%. It's up 20+% higher.
That's right.
Everybody knows, because I go shopping every week myself. Every store we go to, every item we buy costs more. If you want to buy a house, maybe if you want to change homes, you're not going to give up your 2.9 or 3 or 3.5 or 4% mortgage for a 7% 30-year fixed rate mortgage. Yeah. These are the bread and butter issues. And peace and prosperity drive elections. Well, we got war in Europe, war in the Middle East, and we got an economy that is struggling, and wide open borders that have made our country not safe.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Sean. I mean, look, you know, I grew up in a working class family. Sometimes we did okay. Sometimes times were really tough. And I can't help but think about this through the eyes of a family that's struggling to make ends meet. Where people are sort of looking at the credit card bills, they're looking at the groceries, they're looking at the medical expenses, and they're saying, we can maybe afford 2 of these 3 things, but we can't afford all 3. Right. And I just want Americans, I want, you know, if you're struggling in this country, and you're looking to the future,
I gotta keep positive, but like, there's never been a more accurate representation of than the Democratic Party right now. Like, Kamala and Tim Walz is the worst. These two idiots cannot stop fucking up. Democratic Party is freaking out right now. All right, I'm gonna tell you right now, I will not be surprised if Tim Walz is off the ticket in the next couple weeks. I would not be surprised if they get Tim Walz out and they bring Shapiro in. I'm saying it right now. I would not be surprised. Okay? Because that's how bad things are, and they are so desperate. I think that they're going to try to get Shapiro in. I 100% think they're going to try to get Shapiro in. No, I don't, and somebody said it won't help. I don't think it's necessarily going to help either. But tonight was a bad night, dude. Tonight was an awful night. It was an awful night because J.D. Vance showed that he is not the person that they've tried to say he is. And Tim Walz proved that he is the person that they tried to say J.D. Vance was. You know?
From a place of hope and optimism. It's possible. Because I really do believe it's still possible, Sean, but man, only if we get the policies that actually make sense for the American people. I mean, the thing that I've learned most the last 8 weeks, man, I've had such an insight into this country, and it's so amazing. People come up.
Yeah, I understand, like, from the conventional way of doing things, it's too late. Let me remind you that Joe Biden, the sitting president of the United States of America, after being voted in as the nominee, is no longer the nominee. And Kamala Harris is the nominee, even though she didn't receive one single vote. I would also like to remind you that Joe Biden was the most popular president of all time, according to the Democrats. More popular than Obama, more popular than Trump, more popular than any president. That was Joe Biden. So we're talking about the Democrats, okay? I mean, this is the same Democrats that have tried to arrest their political opponent multiple times now. Where are all of these lawsuits at? Where are all of these arrests at? Where are all these indictments at? They're all gone.
They saw where I was at.
So they are desperate. And when something becomes desperate, it does desperate things. And the Democrats have shown that the conventional, way of doing things, they'll do whatever they want.
But ask me how I'm doing. And sometimes I'm talking about people who are struggling in a very big way. And it's sort of like, I kind of had this like eureka moment of, if all of these American citizens are so concerned about the guy running for vice president when they themselves can't afford groceries, there is a generosity of spirit in this country that is so amazing. We need a leader who actually matches up with that generosity of spirit, a leader who's fit to lead the greatest nation in the world. We don't have it now. I think we're about to have it starting on November 5th.
No, it was interesting because I remember Kamala had said about the high price of energy. Now, I would think it matters to the people of Pennsylvania and your state of Ohio on the issue of fracking, of course, and she doesn't want offshore drilling. One of the things that I feel with 35 days left and early voting starting, she has not answered why she co-sponsored the Green New Deal, $93 trillion, right? That to me is Marxism.
Yeah.
Why she co-sponsored government-run health care, Medicare for all, no private health insurance, right? How do you justify sex change operations paid for by taxpayers? Amnesty will.
These tweets are just worse and worse, man. Right here, Tim Walz was asked why he lied about being in Hong Kong. He says he grew up in a small town in Nebraska where he rode his bikes with his buddies. God. This is so bad, dude. We have to listen to it one more time.
You said you were in Hong Kong during the deadly Tiananmen Square protests in the spring of 1989. But Minnesota Public Radio and other media outlets are reporting that you actually didn't travel to Asia until August of that year. Can you explain that discrepancy?
Yeah, well, and to the folks out there who didn't get at the top of this, look, I grew up in small rural Nebraska, town of 400, town that you rode your bike with your buddies till the streetlights come on, and I'm...
This is so bad. This is so bad. Oh my God, I can't believe how bad this is. Holy shit, man.
People don't respect our laws, border sovereignty, or defund, dismantle the police, or I think Bush brought this up at the end. She tweeted out a bail fund 4 days after police precincts were burned to the ground, and then said, they're not going to stop rioting, shouldn't stop rioting, we're not going to stop rioting.
In my defense, Sean, there's so much to whack Kamala Harris about with her record. You only had 90 days. You're absolutely right here that her policies, it's not just that she did these things. She, in some cases, went out and bragged about opening. She bragged about how she wanted to divert resources away from police officers. She bragged about the Green New Scam, which of course is one of the main drivers of energy and food prices. She bragged about this stuff. It happened in America several times. Now, you made a good point. She hasn't answered for any of this. Well, Sean, in her defense, she hasn't answered for anything because she refuses to sit down for interviews.
Press conferences or interviews.
And this is okay. Look, honestly,
I will offer Kamala and Tim Walz a whole week's worth of shows if they come.
No, I legitimately believe, no kidding, that you would be a much more fair interviewer with Kamala Harris than, for example, like Dana Bash was with me. But you go on Dana Bash's show, you go on Sean Hannity, you go wherever you can, because if you want to be the vice president of the United States, you ought to earn it. You ought to get out there and talk to the American people. And I think it's the most scandalous part of her entire campaign is that she's running from a basement, hiding from the very people that she wants to lead, while you have a contrast of Donald Trump, who not only was a successful president once, but is so eager to get out there and make his case to the American people that he's doing multiple rallies a day, multiple interviews with news leaders. That is the kind of guy with.
All right, I got another clip to show you guys from our boy Drew Hernandez. So right here, JD Vance literally broke MSNBC. Here we go.
It's the audacity. I agree with you that we're in year 9 and no one knows how to cover the audacity. The audacity is that someone should have said, stop it, stop. Are you effing kidding me? And they should have dropped that F-bomb, right? I mean, they should have just, this is a debate. This may be the only chance people have to see the difference.
Dude, they are struggling. They are struggling.
The audacity. I agree with you that we're in year 9 and no one knows how to cover the audacity. The audacity is that someone should have said, stop it, stop. Are you effing kidding me? And they should have dropped that F-bomb, right? I mean, they should have just, this is a debate. This may be the only chance people have to see the difference.
Holy crap.
Prices have gone up massively. Wages adjusted for inflation is down. People's pocketbooks are hurting.
Byron Donalds, man, just absolutely destroyed. Just destroyed him.
I only had watched the movie, and when you think of where you came from, and I thought, my 4 grandparents came from Ireland legally, and they were poor. My parents both were very poor. And my mom was a prison guard. She worked 16 hours her whole life. My dad, a family probation guy, waiter. I learned to work and be financially independent when I was young.
Yep.
Nothing compared to your life. And I saw at the convention, and your mom was there, and what that meant to you, that she had turned her life around. And I just think it's a redemption story that America really can appreciate. But so now we came from there to here. Not a bad story. You just need we need to get to the final chapter.
That's exactly right, man.
35 days.
35 days. I can't believe Look, man, I feel amazing about polls. If you look at the pollsters who've been most accurate, actually we're in a better place than we were in 2016. Of course, Donald Trump on 11 in 2016. Yeah, I mean, look, I feel very good about it. I think the energy's great. You mentioned my mom. She's probably watching now. I love you, Mom. I'm proud of you. She's been clean and sober, by the way, for almost 10 years now.
Yeah.
And
thank God.
It's Sean. Man, the American dream is an American dream of second chances, right? If people, they fall off the horse, but they keep on getting back on. And I think that we need leadership that makes those second chances possible. That is what the presidency of Donald Trump represents. It's not just about red team versus blue team. Like, I want to beat the Democrats, and it'll be fun on November 5th to beat the Democrats. If Donald Trump is the next president, the people that I care most about are going to have better lives, and that is what this is all about.
2016 was about the forgotten men and women.
Yes.
I mentioned my grandparents and my parents, and I feel I stand on their shoulders. And
hey, Sean, nobody cares. Just as a spoiler alert.
No, you feel you stand on the shoulders, and that's the dream of every American, in my view. And that's the shining city on the hill that Reagan talked about, right?
And my mamaw is
is smiling from heaven. I'm running for vice president.
Thank you, Harley.
What an incredible story, man.
Harley Dave, did you get affected by the storm? Personally, I know you said North Carolina is a mess, in which we've kind of seen some reports of that. But did you personally get affected by that? I hope not, bro.
Incredible woman. What a great testimony. It's great that she stopped by.
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge upgrade. We're not going to listen to Ted Cruz. We're not going to listen. But didn't Don Jr. wasn't Don Jr. on? Okay, we'll skip to Don Jr. At some point, let's see. All right, where's Jr.? Let's see. All right, there we go. All right, Don Jr.
By the way, it's freezing in this room.
It's really
Do
cold.
they not have heat? They don't have heat at
Especially now that I'm
CBS.
a Florida guy. It's
Yeah, exactly. I think our blood got thinner.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not why skip? I'm not a fan of Ted Cruz, but I can't, like, I have to be strategic on how I'm reacting to this live TV right now. I've got to make it transformative, and I can't just sit here all over it right now. And Don Jr. is just more important than Ted Cruz.
All right, true story. We've known each other since a long time. I knew you long before your dad ever got into politics. He'd always bring me into your office, your brother's office, and Bonko's office.
I don't hate Ted Cruz at all, but he just annoys me because he tends to talk a really good game, and he doesn't actually like to follow through with it for the most part.
And it was funny because all of a sudden, J.D. Vance's name comes up again and again, and I didn't know him as well as you. And I called you.
Do your job, please.
Okay, I know you really want J.D. Vance. Yeah. And I said, I don't know him as well as you. Tell me why. I guess we learned a big lesson tonight because he was spectacular on that stage.
It was a masterclass. I mean, it was just a spectacular performance. I mean, he understood the facts. He steamrolled the moderators when they tried to fact check him with nonsense, right? He was 100% right. Notice they didn't do that again. He had just such a command. It was interesting. I tweeted during the thing, I'm watching Tim Walz going like this as JD every time. I mean, the optics of it was terrible. I think Tim Walz is voting for Trump Vance.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It was just an incredible performance. JD he gets it.
Celebrity Jeremy has put that in.
Bathrooms or gender-affirming care without parental consent.
No, we're worried about policies that actually matter for Americans, not tampons in boys' bathrooms. And that's the reality, Sean. We've seen that today. We see it not just with the longshoremen strike, but you see it with literally Iran, not through proxies, but actually directly striking Israel itself today. Notice how that didn't happen under Trump? We went from a time of peace to a time of war, right? This is the Kamala Harris Biden administration, right? It's the same thing. They've had power. They're trying to pretend as though she magically started her political career 3 weeks ago and shoved her into that role. We went from a time of
just remember now. Just remember, this is the standard for the Democratic Party. Okay, so this is the standard right here. So in reality, I guess Tim Walz actually won. Okay, here we go right here. This is the standard for the Dems.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the And let me ask the crowd, what did Trump do? Yes.
God damn it, that is so fucking bad. Holy shit.
Peace to a time of war. We went from a time of prosperity to a time of poverty. Everyone feels it. The world has been watching, and it has gone to hell in a handbasket, and it's because of the policies. Again, we've had 4 years under Trump. You know exactly what my father can do. Our enemies weren't attacking our allies. We weren't broke.
No inflation, no high interest rates, no war in the Middle East. By the way, it feels to me we're on the verge of an all-out war in the Middle East.
We can have peace again, and we can have prosperity again. But we're not going to have it with weak and feckless leaders like Kamala Harris. And again, I understand the media's going to media, right? They're going to spin it. She's a moderate because they'll do anything. They're the marketing department of the left.
I expect tomorrow, some crazy attacks, crazy level attacks on J.D. Vance from the media. I think it's going to get crazy because I don't think that they expected that it was going to be this bad. I think that they probably expected a little bit, like even the mainstream media, a lot of the mainstream talking heads, even they can't justify what we saw tonight. They can't even spin this. I expected there's going to be a lot of attacks on JD Vance. A lot. Holy crap.
Of course, they're spinning her as though she's a moderate. I mean, I'm seeing these, I'm looking at her policies over a 25-plus year career, the most radical person in the United States Senate, left of Bernie Sanders, and now they're saying, no, she wants the wall. I'm saying, you know, almost like Joe Biden putting on a MAGA hat. I'm saying, what is going on here? But they'll tell you whatever you need to hear to get your vote, and then they'll do whatever they want.
Maybe I sound like a broken record, but no fracking, no offshore drilling. Defund, dismantle, no bail laws.
Open borders.
Open borders. Free housing, food, healthcare, education, sex change, amnesty, and they have allowed in murderers, they have allowed in rapists, they have allowed in other violent criminals, people with terrorized. We have Iranian hit squads looking to assassinate your father. After
Some
two
other members of my family, including myself.
Okay, and your whole family.
Got that call soon.
I am sorry that you didn't get the call. I'm
I
sorry.
didn't get a call, and I've also, in the last 2 months, had to explain to my 5 children twice that someone tried to assassinate their grandfather, who they love a lot. You know, we've dealt with some stuff, but it's.
By the way, your daughter
it's
Kai,
important.
who I interviewed at the RC, she's a special kid.
She is, and you know, and again, she wasn't apolitical. She's a 17-year-old girl, but she's been watching the attacks. She knows the measure of the man. She knows my father. She plays golf with him every week. She's probably spent more time with my father than any of the other Trumps combined. You know, he may be watching, so I got to be a little careful. It could be close. You know, he's a very good golfer, Sean. I gotta be very careful. I'll never be seen on television ever again. But no, she's great, and they have such a good relationship. Yeah. She was with me when that happened, and she went through it. And that Monday morning, 2 days later, she called me, I want to speak at the RNC. I'm like, whoa. That's a big speech for a 17-year-old. When I was 17, I probably had a hard time getting up in front of my classroom. And you know, she was just so sick of it. And you know,
I'll
honestly,
check that out.
I think the American people are so sick of it. You know, they're sick of what's going on.
I was entertained by this tonight, but nothing has entertained me more than being here with you guys tonight. Look at there. Look at there. I appreciate it. I'm glad you guys like. This has been a great stream. If you are new to this channel, I'm going to be covering pretty much all things politics and election coverage, Trump speeches, very much a pro-Trump channel for the rest of the month, all the way until November. And then after Trump wins, I've made the prediction that after Trump wins, from November to January, I think that it's going to be absolutely downright scary what they're going to try to do to this country, because they are going to try to destroy the country, because they're going to be panicking over Donald Trump. That's what my prediction is right there.
With immigration, they're sick of what's going on with fentanyl. They're sick of the wars and the never-ending funding for wars. No one's articulated what victory even looks like. You know, we can fund that, but we can't take care of people in their own hometowns. It's disgusting.
$8 billion to Ukraine. We now have given nearly $200 billion. Yeah, total. And
well, how about $8 billion to Iran? We're just sending missiles into Israel today.
How about we just send it to North Carolina, Georgia? We send it to Tennessee and Florida.
They bothered, Sean. They haven't even shown up. My father's doing more for North Carolina and Georgia by getting Elon to bring in Starlink and supplies to be able to create communications. Honestly, what Kamala Harris and Joe Biden should do is like, Donald, please take over the disaster response, because we're too busy taking care of our enemies around the world and making sure that Iran feels comfortable and is well funded to keep attacking our enemies. I mean, that's what they should do. If they wanted to actually solve something for the American people, put him in charge now.
All right. When did you first focus in on JD? Because we had a long conversation. I called you about it.
Oh, yeah. Early on, you know, before this, you know, sort of before the Senate run, and you know, 2 years before that, started getting to know each other. And again, there were some differences and otherwise, but he was the first guy to sort of come around and be like, you know what, I actually got it wrong. I mean, whether he bought into some of the media spin or otherwise, and him and I are just sort of getting to know each other. And some of his consultants were good friends of mine, and they're like, hey, do you think I can? Yeah, man, go ahead, talk to me. And we just started becoming friends. I'm listening to this guy, and I had read Hillbilly Elegy. I'm like, we actually need someone with that background. Someone who came from Appalachia, who, you know, battled the vicious cycle of poverty and addiction in his family, like, and broke through. Got to live the American dream, created a successful business, you know, did it in the real world, and then got into politics. Just like, you know, he didn't use the military to get into school or to what. He went to the military before he went to law school and before he started a business,
Actually,
not as a checkbox candidate.
And he didn't lie about it, or lie about his rank, or lie about the abortion bill, or lie. He told a lot of lies were told on that stage by Tim Ralston.
Well, and
I've got to run.
weeks.
Great to see you. and I heard congratulations to Kai on her college.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna end that there, and we're gonna get into super chats. I got a lot of super chats to read, so we're gonna get into those. I'm gonna give the chat their opportunity to do chat is takeover. I'm gonna go to the BRB screen here for just a minute, so the chat can do their chat is takeover like they love to do. Because let me see right here. So, and then we're going to read super chats, and we're going to get to all of them because we read all the super chats. We read all the super chats. So chat is going to be takeover here for just a minute because that's what the chat always does. Takes over. If you're new to this channel, we're a very different breed around here. It's a little weird in a good way. We talk a lot of crap. There's a lot of inside jokes. And before we do chat is takeover really quickly, I would like to say that we are like almost there. The end of the IDOT campaign is about to be here. So if you have not, go over to 221B Tactical, and we are closing out the campaign on our IDOT t-shirt for Geeks and Gamers. IDOT t-shirt. You've only got a few minutes, whether you want the t-shirt or the hoodie. That's the Halloween edition. If you're new to our little corner of the internet, there's a lot of inside jokes. This is our mascot for Geeks and Gamers. His name is IDOT. There's a lot of lore with that. It is way too much to explain at this point in time. So anyway, if you're interested, please go over there, okay? Get your mother effing IDOT shirt, says Harley Dave. Absolutely. So, yeah, you only got a little bit longer to go over there, and then that campaign is going to be shut down here very, very soon. So we're going to go to the BRB screen, and I'll see you guys here in just a few minutes. Chat is takeover right now. Here we
$1975 commercial. What do
Lord, to see he'll ruin everything we
Nation host, kind of Roy Rogers, nice guy. I don't.
Okay, so what have you guys been doing? Let's see, what have you guys been doing while I'm away? We're back. I just put out this tweet really quickly, right here, as I was getting more drink. Make October great again. Holy shit, laughing, what? Laughing man? Laughing man. What? Laughing man? Holy shit. Wow. What is happening right now? This is insane. Holy crap. Laughing man. Well, you know what that means. You know what that means. You know what that means. Laughing man, you get the clip. All right? You get the clip. Roll it. Here we go.
And
I think there's anyone in
$500 donation. You know what he says? Nothing. Drops $500 on the table. Looks over at everybody at the poker table. Dropped it on there. Moonwalked right out of the saloon, double doors. Didn't say anything. Spurs on his boots. Couple holstered handguns. Cowboy hat. Thick mustache. Dropped the money on the table, looked at everybody square in their eye, and just moonwalked right out of the saloon double doors. Didn't say shit. Didn't say anything. No message there. Didn't say jack shit. And you have to be a cocky son of a bitch. First of all, that's not cheap. You gotta be a cocky son of a bitch to drop $500 and just bounce the fuck out there and don't say nothing. I respect
that. Thank you, laughing man. Thank you, laughing man. Holy crap, $500. Jeez. I just got back and I was like, I saw someone go, he doesn't know yet. And I was like, holy shit. So thank you, laughing man. You mad lad. You absolute mad lad. We got a lot to get to. There's a lot of super chats to get through. Drunk 3PO's in my chat. Does Drunk 3PO want to come hang out? He doesn't have to, but he can if he wants. We like Drunk 3PO. Drunk 3PO's a nice guy. Just Mike says, why does Jeremy think, who does Jeremy think he is? Who would compliment? Nobody would compliment. You're absolutely right about that. February 14th says, I'd donate more if you were Double D's Dave Cobra. Hey, I mean, I can get some people on here, okay? If that's what needs to happen. So, Jay says, yo. Golden Nugget says, you don't need beauty filters, Jeremy. You are a beautiful person naturally. This complimenting me stuff has to stop, okay? We have to stop this right now. I don't like it. I'm not kidding. Dom H with 5 gifted memberships. Thank you, Dom. Golden Nugget says, okay, I can't keep this up. Hot damn, you gay. Okay, that's back to normal. That's back to normal. That's how we like it. Yeah, I did put this tweet out, though. So make October great again. I thought that was pretty good. It's pretty funny to see that. So I definitely dig that. Let's see here. We've got Mazza Apocalypse says, Jeremy, how much to get you to chug a glass of milk and hot dogs with tampon Tim brings up Agenda 2025, or Ohio Haitians eating cats is a lie? I didn't see this earlier, but I would not have committed to that. So I'm glad that I didn't see it earlier. No way I could have committed to that. Knights of Ben says, just let Benny, just let Benny left Benny to be with the 199. Well, hell, Benny Johnson. We like Benny. Benny's awesome. Love Dog says, back to reality, Jeremy. You're terrible. Just saying, Fig. Okay, that's more like it. I like to be insulted. Eric K says, Jeremy looks just as gay with the filter on. I don't have the filter on right now, though. Lord Bofa says, Jeremy had the best RNC stream. Great picture and top quality audio, and he did not have any awkward encounters at all, like lurking in backgrounds. There's so much lore, dude. Danky, you need to get on that one. You need to get on that one. Tweeted Tone says, Jeremy has beautiful eyes and a nice jawline. Always told him since 2017 to shave the pubes. Beards are for weak chins. Also, thoughts on ranked better? Yeah, I mean, I like that ranked Fortnite doesn't have a lot of the gimmicky stuff, but honestly, because now I have gold level something. I don't know what I am. I've played quite a bit of ranked, and I'm in lobbies now with people that are just absolutely just retardedly good now. So it's like almost unplayable for me now because the people I'm playing are so damn good. Eric Heffelfinger says, new camera, we can see your eyebrows. Looks good. Damn, y'all. Jeremy is gay says, new pick for the debate. P.S. You're straight. Bulletproof Trump. I like that. I like that. That's good. That's good. 8 o'clock says, hey, Jeremy, I'm sure your boyfriend loves your Bama Crocs. I'm actually wearing my Atlanta Braves Crocs right now. So look at here. See there? Atlanta Braves. Okay? Go Braves. There you go. Let's see. Jared's 25 says, Jeremy, I come here for your excellent reading and linguistic skills. Keep up the good work, little buddy. Stop complimenting me, please. Firefox says, yeah, Savvy, don't accidentally time out laughing, man, like Jeremy. That was earlier in the stream. And so I have to tell the story again. So during Drunk 3PO, was it your 100,000 subscriber stream? Laughing Man drops a $500 super chat and says nothing. And I'm a mod on Jay's channel. So just so you understand, I have multiple phones, okay? And so I pick up one of my phones, and for whatever reason, the lock screen was not on, for whatever reason. And Jay's stream was like on my phone. I accidentally timed out Laughing Man, who had just donated like $500 to Jay. And I was like, holy shit, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to do that. So I felt really bad. I felt really bad, but now it's part of the Geeks and Gamers lore, so it's okay. It's okay. Fable of Man says, we want Jay. Also, for a homosexual, you're all right, Jeremy. Thank you, Fable of Man. I don't know. Carter says, I want someone to paint a Geeks and Gamers logo on the graffiti bridge. Hey! I like your thinking. I like your thinking. Yeah, we do like the Geeks and Gamers logo like they did the Batman logo in The Dark Knight Rises. Let's see. Yeah, so Jay, the people, look, I don't know. Jay may be live. He may be live, so I don't want to pressure Jay if he's on a live stream. Stay on your live stream, brother. Demogenized says, sup, bro? Sent you a classic funny vid. Enjoy. I will check it out. Buster Nut Smash says, don't give Madam Savvy a wrench. Give her a razor so she can shave that massive bush. Holy crap. Willie Will dropped 50 gifted memberships. 50 gifted memberships. Insane. Hope you're doing well, Willie Will. We appreciate you, man. Do I have eyebrow filters on? No, I just have eyebrows. They're just very light features. Spirian with the 199 sticker, thank you. Jake Stanley says, already disgusted. Shadow Saiyan says, take a shot every time they mention Trump instead of answering the question. Ministry of Wrongthink says, the Vice POTUS debate is still going to be 100% Orange Man bad. You were correct about that one. Major Dave says, there is a major catastrophe in the U.S. right now with consequences from Helene. Port workers on strike, and the first question in the non-U.S. related in response from Walls is TDS. This is embarrassing to watch. It is. It is. But it needed to happen, unfortunately. People needed to see it for what it was. Eric K says, moderators will call out no lies from Walls. Let's see. Alex Channel says, oh boy, another Donald Trump drinking game. Jose M says, build the walls, MAGA 2024. Brad Mann says, I love that Vance is not just answering the questions, but he is also speaking for Walls. This is political gold. Make America great again, make America healthy again. I think JD Vance gave like a 10 out of 10 performance. I really do. But who cares what I think? Who cares what I think? You only care what Drunk 3PO. I was gonna say Dre. I don't know if I call you Jay or Drunk 3PO. Damn it, Dre. Okay, Dre is in the house. What's up, Dre?
Yeah, it's been a long day, man.
It's been a fun one.
It's been a long day. Look at that, man. It's really blessed here. Look at all the support. I love to see it. It's freaking amazing.
You love to
I
see it.
streamed at 8 o'clock this morning on my political channel. Then I did daily. Then took Krista to the parks. Then I played a little Fortnite. I had you up while we were playing Fortnite. We were listening, and everybody was like, "Hey, look, can you just take Jeremy off?" Like, we don't want to. We are here because we don't want to hear the debate. I was
Exactly.
like, all right, I get it.
No, and that's what I said. You
It wasn't
you're like, bro.
it was like,
No. You were texting me like, hey, are you cool if I stream over you? Of course I am.
I didn't want to stream over you.
Because there's people like there's some people that want the escape, you know, to kind of like, hey, we just would like to get away from the politics and stuff like that. So, so yeah, man, I totally understood that.
From what I listened, and seeing Trump on social media right now, just completely going savage, like it's pretty funny. It's pretty clear what happened. I hope someone called 911.
Dude, it was an absolute beatdown. Okay, so let me to put it in sports terms. I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, we've seen some major beatdowns in the past. Like, just imagine like imagine a football game and it's like 52-0. I mean, that's essentially what it was. Like, it was an absolute destruction tonight. JD Vance like crushed it. It was absolutely
and no one can say any different. Like, I'm seeing the clips from CNN and everyone else, and they're all just like, well.
Yeah, it was JD Vance was just phenomenal, and it wasn't like JD Vance was trying to do anything other than be JD Vance. But with that said, Jay, you do have something to answer for, buddy. You want to tell us what's going on here?
Oh, that's been photoshopped. Man, I've been doing some squats, man. Like, look at that booty.
Oh man, it was so good. It was so good.
Krista was like, saw this stool, and I was like, sitting in. Let me take you. There were others that had tails, like horses. It's like the Rainforest Cafe.
There's the.
Yeah, you see the one next to me has like a little tail.
Yeah.
It's just like, no, I don't want to do it. You sit in it. I didn't know she was taking a picture. And of course, it's like, then all of a sudden, like, Twitter's blown up. I'm like, oh, freaking Krista. Oh, wow. What are you going to do, man?
It's so good.
And, yeah, and then I go through the thread and everyone's tagging beer. And they know my legs ain't small, man. People see me. They know.
It's great. It was great. Good stuff right there, though. So, all right, let me move that right there. But yeah, so you didn't see any of this.
I saw most of it, yeah. And then the rest of it, I had it on listening. But I did see that Vance broke the fourth wall. Like,
yeah, it was.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, it was a major, like, it was a major beatdown. Absolutely major. It was kind of crazy. Let's see. I got those words. I love that Vance is calling them illegal aliens and not migrants. Thank you for the 20. Front toward enemies is the question about the hurricane was a setup to avoid the topic or the federal aid, or rather the lack of federal aid. There's Love Dogs. That bill was garbage, allowed 5,000 illegals a day, but more importantly gave billions to Ukraine. Harley Dave, who's been on it tonight. JD just used JD is used to BS political challenges. He will easily handle this garbage. Walls is completely out of his league. He has no idea what he's actually up against. Trust JD. Hail 199.
I didn't know JD was handling himself. Like, I didn't know him that well.
It was beautiful.
He came out like, this is it. This is what you guys are doing. This is what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's all he needs to say. You guys are messing everything up. This is what we're doing.
Did you hear what Trump said about the school shooter?
Yeah, did you see what Trump posted about that?
Yes.
Did you show that? Yes. The yard sign?
Yes.
Trump Vance, not friends with school shooters. Holy crap, dude. I was like, that's hilarious, man. And then the best is like the Democrats, like Twitter account post, we see who the clear winner is. And they got this weird picture of, did you see that? Dude, the comment section.
I don't think I saw that one. You have to pull that one up if you want to pull that one up. I didn't see that.
Oh my gosh. And Mark Hamill went out, dude. You should just pull up Mark Hamill's tweet just because.
Okay.
Let me show you how desperate these people are. Like, so ridiculous. Everybody's posting pictures from the debate because that's what we saw. Like what they're wearing, things like that. Mark Hamill went out of his way and searched Google to dig up some weird picture of JD Vance to try to make him look bad, right? Like bad angle, bad light. Then takes the best picture he could possibly find of this guy who grabs his crotch every time he speaks publicly and put it up there to try. He tries so hard to make it look like there's a crazy man and the guy who actually won. No, man. Everybody knows what you're doing. This is terrible. Like, why would you do that? You just words. We're laughing at you, Mark. We're
Mark
laughing
Hamill.
at you that you would go out and do this when everybody's posting pictures of the debate stage. If you scroll down the comments, it's glorious, man. Like,
I gotta be careful. Let's see.
they're all just like they post like they're like, like that. Just like they post like they're like that. They put the real pictures up. Oh yeah, look at that one. That's one I wanted you to see. Yeah.
Oh man, holy!
It's so weird that he would go out of his way to like to find. Yeah, I just wanted you to see like some of the pictures, but that's the shot right there. Fact. That's the shot.
That's the shot, man.
He would go out of his way to like find like the ugliest picture he could possibly find of JD to post that. Shows you how scared these people are. That they know that their time is running out. They know that they're losing. They know like they got to do everything in their power. He couldn't post a picture of his guy tonight. He couldn't do it because there was no good picture, and he knows his guy screwed up. So he had to go out of his way to find the best one he can to put it together, and others are doing the same thing. The Democratic Twitter account, they didn't post any pictures from the debate. They had to go find like some happy picture and like post that up because they already know. They know they couldn't do it. It's freaking crazy, man. Like that this is what they want to do. I love it.
Some of the memes are coming out this good. Like, so this one right here was congrats to Senator Vance on his performance tonight. Look, it's so good. Good old Al from Home Improvement, baby. That's what's up right there. So I love all the memes. And see, that's the thing is like we can laugh at these things. Like this is funny. This is funny. This is excellent. By the way, Home Improvement is one of the best TV shows ever. Okay, this is one of the best TV shows ever.
Well,
but yeah.
Can I share something?
Yeah, of course.
All right, so here's the Democrats. Tonight's winner. Look, they had to go out of their way. All right, since I am a community note person, I guess y'all didn't know that. If you see some good community notes, it's probably for me. So we're gonna share the biggest community note. Tim Walz did not, in fact, win the debate. CNN even admitted that JD Vance was the winner. That's the community note that's happening. But I mean, like, people are like, "Are y'all serious? Like, there's no way he won this." It's crazy. They're like, remember this one? The winner of tonight's debate. It's unbelievable. They had to go and find they had this picture ready. They were just waiting. It didn't matter what happened. They were gonna post that.
Absolutely. So, that's what they do. That's what they do. Yeah, I mean, and then he said at one point he just said, "Oh, I'm just a knucklehead." You're like, wait, what? Did he just say that? Like, because that makes no sense. Why did you just say that? You're running for vice president, okay? You're running for vice president, and you said that. Like, what an absolute psychopath. But that's where we are, man. These people are nuts, and I'm not surprised at it at all. Some of the memes are just, I can't stop looking at them. I'm obsessed with these memes.
Oh my God. Can we even show this one, Hail the Lord?
Hail the Lord or lore?
No. Or Hail the Lord.
Be careful. Be careful.
Okay. I'll show
no, don't. I saw that.
Okay. I'll show
no.
Or Hail the
Be careful. Be careful.
Okay, I'll show
No, don't. I saw that one. Razor Fist tweet is probably the best fucking tweet, though. I'll show Razor Fist tweet. Let me pull up Razor's tweet. I'm not gonna read it. I'll just show the tweet. So
Hail the Lord.
Right here. There you go. God dang it, Razor Fist. Holy shit, Razor.
That's worse than what I showed. Jeremy likes it.
I didn't show it though. I didn't read it. That's why I'm not reading that. Okay. I'm not reading that. So Razor just whoo. That was
I wonder if he's gonna make a statement about that, saying clearly I was nervous and I made a mistake.
That was an all-timer right there, man. That was an all-timer. So
this is the all right, this is safe. I promise. I'm not going to mess you up. This is the face that we're going to see all the way up to the election.
Yes.
This thing is going to get mean. Like, look at that. The face you make when your wife starts reading your search history before you.
And do you know what we're going to get for JD Vance? This one right here. The photo that will be memed for eternity. So there you go right there. That's going to be that's it right there. So every time you make a good point or you're like a Chad meme, like that's your new Chad meme right there. That's the face of a winner right there. It's essentially what that is. So that's
breaking the fourth wall. It's hilarious.
man. It's so good. It's so good. I just can't describe how bad the beatdown was tonight. It really was brutal. Like it was one of the most brutal beatdowns that you can't really put it into perspective how bad it was. I don't think anybody, like, if you're being completely honest about the situation, 100% Trump. I mean, 100% Vance won this, and it only benefited the Trump campaign. And that's just not even debatable. Like, this is not a debate. I'm looking at the reaction from everybody, even people you would think. But yeah, here's the one you were talking about right there. So
yeah.
That is so good, dude. That is so good. All right, let's see. We got Jenna Hughes says Wanker looks like he's about to have a steam coming out of his head. This is greatly entertaining. Thanks for hosting, Jeremy. Thank you. Paladin Jock says this is straight up a beatdown. Absolutely. Papa Perry for 20. How did this Walmart clerk get elected for encouraging burn loot Minneapolis? Yes, exactly. Yell in. River Miles says stop calling invaders migrants. FMJHP with 5 gifted memberships. Thank you. JRG Project says the moderators are breaking their own rules. That means Tampon Penny lost. Let me see. Troy News says, wow, Walls actually told the truth there. Experts can't be trusted. Scientists can't be trusted. Yes, Walls. The high wall is hell. Let's see. The high wall is hell is paved with the Ivy League digress. Rock on Vance. Brock says Vance is doing really well tonight. Good old Brock in the house. Make sure you hydrate. That's what Brock always says when he's here. Kyrus is middle class Olympics. Zenaximus is good to see Vance keeping his cool. I guess he was prepared well for his fight against the little beta weasel and the 2 Karens. He absolutely was, man. I don't think they would ever ask for another debate with JD Vance. Whew. They would never want one. Jenna Hughes for 10 says, I feel like I'm watching the most cringe and wholly outskilled SmackDown ever. Anyone else feel the same? Yes. I think we all did. Harley Dave says, Jeremy, when will the moderators ask questions about homosexuals like you? Love Dog says, Amber Thurman died because she took an abortion pill, had nothing to do with traveling to another state. The lies are unbelievable. Harley Dave says, trust JD for 20. No one with 5 gifted memberships. Thank you. Celebrity Jeremy says, Democrats are terrified of talking about abortion. Truthfully, they always go to the life of the mother argument, which is very, very rare. Never about what they really want. 100%. Then we got Hayden Wayne for 50. Says Vance is killing it, and Timmy Boy looks like an absolute moron to anyone who knows anything. They are trying to get the buzzwords, and the people who don't pay attention to fall into the Harris camp. They're doing a terrible job. Big L's all the way around.
Did you see, there was another massive L today at the Breakfast Club. Did you see?
Oh yeah, with Byron Donalds. Yeah, I played that earlier.
Just wrecked those fools, man.
Yeah,
he pulled out facts and was like, "It's right here, man." I love
Trump.
Man,
Trump
I
is
wish he was the
surrounded-
I said before I wish he was the VP, but Vance was clearly.
Vance showed tonight he's the right man for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd said previously I thought Byron Donalds would be a good choice, and he would have been a good choice, but Vance was clearly the best choice, and he proved that tonight. He 100% proved
Your
that tonight.
time is coming, Byron.
So now, ultimately, you got to look at this. Like, Trump is surrounded by an absolute dream team right now. Like, it's absolutely stupid. The amount of people that is around him that are next level. Obviously, JD Vance proved that he is clearly the right choice to be the VP. He's got RFK, he's got Tucker, he's got Vivek, he's got Elon Musk, he's got Byron Donalds, he's got all these people. There's a ton of people I'm forgetting. I know Tulsi's mentioned in that. There's just so many amazing people that he has. And then more people that he can bring into his cabinet and things like that. Like, it is crazy. It is crazy.
This is the biggest stacked house I've seen.
This is like the old school basketball fans will know this. Jay, you'll appreciate it. This is the 92 Dream Team.
Oh,
That's what this is.
100%.
It's the 92 Dream Team.
I don't know who the Christian Leitner will be, but
this is the 92 Dream Team for sure, man. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. Mike John says, I hate how casual pro-choice women are about abortion. What's the ratio of women who do it just to avoid pregnancy, childbirth, and having a child versus those with legit reasons? The people they're pandering to are the smallest minority of people, and they try to take the smallest unfortunate situations to try to act like that's the most dominant reason. But that's what the left does. Harley Dave says, Jeremy, the perfect grifter, is for 50. Simply sits there listening to chaos and talking shit whenever necessary while watching all of us self-propagate upward growth of support for a genuinely kind and honest human who hates compliments. I need a drink. You went on a drink run too. You went on a drink run, brother. Did you get back?
I see you, 300 mirrors. Thanks for tagging me in this post.
By the way, yes, people are asking about your political channel. Tell them real quick about your political channel.
It is Welcome to the Rebellion podcast. That's where I moved all the old episodes from the podcast. I moved them over, just trying to get them away. Like the Drunk 3PO channel is basically a Star Wars channel. So it's like, let me just put everything over here in this one area. And then early in the mornings, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I go live at 8 in the morning Eastern. And we just go over the weeks, like what happened the past few days. Like this morning, we did a pretty good thing about like all the stuff that's happening in North Carolina, the fundraising, what people are saying, how Elon showed up with like the Starlinks and everything just because Trump made the call and all the stuff they're doing. We were trying to find exactly what the Biden administration was doing other than having FEMA on the ground. And we went through different ways how people can help, and it's just like grassroots movements and stuff. It was awesome. We had a good time. So that's what's happening over there. Also, I'm gonna have a lot of guests lined up to bring the podcast back, because that's what I really love doing. So it's gonna be a lot of fun over there. So
oh yeah. And Harley Dave, I see you. He says we're back and we're all drinking, but then he says Jeremy doesn't care about people. I don't know what's going on with Harley Dave, but it's okay. It's okay. Let's see. Same Millennial says read Dustin, is it Grage X post on Tim Walz yesterday about his ties to China. I don't think JD knows this stuff yet, but we need to inform ourselves. He's a commie. Thanks, Jeremy, for the stream. Thank you for the super chat. Same.
Oh man, I want to highlight one person here who just became a member of the channel. This is Casey. She is one of the greatest supporters of G&G, me, everyone else, and just to give her a little props. If you go to her Instagram, if you're married, don't go to her Instagram.
Chat's about to go crazy now.
She's the nerdy mechanic. No, I'm just joking. She's the nerdy mechanic, but fantastic. It's good to see you over here, Case. She's been a supporter for a long time. So I was just joking. She's very beautiful, but I'm just saying.
Look at what the chat's about. This chat's about to go crazy now. They're like, wait,
I probably embarrassed her to all heck, but yeah.
Look at Lady Aaron D. Jeez, Jay. I mean, you know how?
No, she's been a good friend for years. That's all I was saying. Like, it was good to see her over here.
I mean, look what Jay does to like Madam Savvy. Like she's never gonna get away from that.
She's already taken, fellas. Sorry, like. I'm not making matchmaker or anything like that. It was just a joke. I really messed that up. I was trying to be funny and it didn't.
Jay.
The nerdy mechanic on Instagram. There you go.
Jay.
No.
Unicycle Peon for 50 on Rumble says, whoa, just realized it's the first of the month and I can back off the restraint, have purple goodness. I hope this debate really has an impact. I don't trust whatever establishment plans next. Cheers. Thank you, Unicycle Peon. I appreciate that, man. Laughing Man says, why don't you acknowledge me, Jeremy? What are you talking about? What do I got to do? All right, we're going to give you a bonus because Laughing Man, I gave you the Ripa clip, but now because it does qualify for the proper 199 technically. So we'll give you the proper 199 just for Laughing Man, okay? So here we go.
Should I do it?
Do not come.
I'm gonna do it.
Do not come.
I'm gonna come.
Oh. I see Savvy's like roasting me here. Jay just likes to be silly. You've never really hung out with me in person.
Old Savvy. We got to get Savvy on Cobra Cast one of these days. So,
oh, she's great. She's great on she's great on
she's
Tuesday nights,
actually
baby.
awesome. Like you gotta be a special type of person to like get our world as quickly as she has. She's really fucking cool. Though.
I had Tuesday night's main event on when we were driving home, and I'm like, dude, she literally made Beardo like crumble like a cookie. Like Beardo will not play her in Pokemon. Like, what kind of a man that works out or has a show called Bro Science or High Tea won't accept a video game challenge from a woman? Like, what? That's crazy.
See, this is why she belongs here. Stop being nice to me. Call me a gay retard.
Yeah, fit right in. You fit right in, that's for sure.
Oh man. And then we got right here. How do you say that? Gray Oak said, sorry, had to get a membership to tell Harley Dave to get me some Kentucky bourbon barrel. And Harley Dave responds and says, so it shall be.
What the freak, Harley?
Look at there.
Send me some.
Look at there. Look at there.
I'll take some of that.
Let's see here. Lapco with 5 gifted memberships. Thank you, Lapco. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Harley Dave says, trust JD, ya fig. Did Jeremy just ask Jay how to read?
No.
I kind of did.
It was just, it's a name. Like, the names are a little different.
The chat has been going faster than Jeremy running to a free butt plug party. Hail IDOTs.
That's
and then
funny.
Gray Oak, after the weekend, I am rewatching Chuck. Just saying, don't judge for $20.
Yeah. Freaking Zachary going through it.
And Gray Oak just dropped
strong,
the 10.
Brother. Sorry about that.
Savvy is a Fed. Savvy is a Fed. So yeah, she's there to infiltrate our little world. So, you think so? Should I be cautious of her? Harley Dave for 50 says, first of all you figs of IDOT, let this message be known. There is either Trump or nothing. Look at what they are doing to us in the mountains of North Carolina. Screw Swifties and to hell with anyone who stops you from being amazing. Vote for freedom. Let's freaking go. Thank you, Harley Dave, you mad lad. He's been on it tonight. Dude, his eyes were so bulged out, creepy as fuck. But if you look at any Democrat, their eyes are so bulged. Indicator. Yeah, this is true. Dude, it was bad. Like, I just saw the quartering tweeted this one out right here. Dude, this quote is never going away. It's
I was
never.
a little also like pretty pretty well rehearsed, the man would pull out a Bible verse.
Oh yeah,
and
dude,
try
that
to
was
use
so
that to
scripted.
appeal when you are for like late term abort. Like, no, man, come on, bro. It's like they rehearsed that over and over, like just to yeah. Holy crap, dude.
I'm
Oh,
not
that's
gonna.
my friend Wei Wu.
Yeah, look at what she said.
Wei Wu's hilarious. Do not vote him. He make America gay. Communism. I can't say the first part. Wei Wu knows.
Oh man, this is brutal. This is absolutely brutal. I saw like Antonio Brown had some stuff.
Dude, Antonio Brown, brother. Probably my favorite Twitter follow for the most part. Holy crap.
Yeah,
dude.
His some of his stuff I can show and some of it I can't show. So let's see. Rude Collie says that the media keeps talking about Republican versus Democrat. This is common sense versus brainwashed people. Vance killed it tonight. Hail the fellowship. Trump 2024. Thank you so much. All right, let's see here. God dang, man. Like, okay, like I gotta be careful. All right, look. That's
Dude.
Oh my god.
AB, come on, man.
Damn, dude. Holy crap. If you know, you know. All right, but AB, I'm not gonna.
No.
Holy crap! Here we go. VP debate coming soon. Me too. Holy shit.
I still think his Sydney Sweeney one was the worst. I couldn't believe what he did in that one.
Oh man. God. Some of this stuff is just absolutely insane, dude.
Did you see Charlie Kirk's? I'm sure you showed that already.
Which one?
Where he had the video of JD Vance just won big and it wasn't even close. A tribute.
I don't think I saw that one. Let me pull that one up.
Oh,
Charlie Kirk. Surprised I don't follow Charlie Kirk. Let me follow him. All right. So Don Jr. When was this one?
It was an hour ago.
You talking about I saw the MSNBC meltdown.
No. It's called Tribute.
It's called what? Tribute?
A tribute.
Let's see. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Okay.
I don't know if you can play the music.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I won't play it then if it's got copyrighted stuff on it. So it's on Charlie Kirk's Twitter account if you guys want to go check that out. Yeah, man. Absolutely fucking hilarious. Samuel B says, and this was a great one. I read this one earlier, but I'm reading it again. Yesterday, I was voting for Trump. Today, I am proud to be voting for Trump Vance. It's time to finish this. It's no longer make America great again. It's make America great forever. Trump Vance 2024. And that's what JD Vance did tonight. That's exactly what he did tonight.
Yeah, he did what he was supposed to do. And he made a lot of us who wasn't so sure about him.
Yep.
You know, that's what he did for me. I was like, 'cause I didn't know, like, I was hoping they picked somebody else, but it's like, okay.
Yep.
They know what they're doing more than Jay.
Well, Trump is definitely showing people now. Like tonight proved that Trump actually has stepped up his game, and he's picking a lot better. He's surrounding himself with a lot better people now. And tonight was proof of that. Hayden Wayne for 50 says people are finally seeing where politics and culture tie in together. These people that Trump and Vance are running against are the same people ruining gaming, causing censorship, and excommunicating people for having an opinion. They love Dustborn. 1000% right there.
Did you know that Matt Walsh mentioned you without mentioning your name?
Really? What do you do?
I only saw because Jonas from that Park Place tweeted. He was like, "I'm watching the Daily Wire," and one of the super chats was, "Hey, like, can you guys talk about pop culture and gaming and stuff? Because a lot of the people are gonna get sucked in to vote for another, like, for the wrong candidate." And Matt Walsh was like, "Well, I mentioned gaming and I got into an argument with someone for 3 straight days on Twitter about it, and we all know it's you. So
please, somebody send me that clip. I will make a fucking video on it. I will make a fucking video on that.
I got it.
Hell
I think I
yeah.
remember where it's at. He didn't mention your name, but I know he was talking about you. So
Laughing Man is at the chat's moving so fast. I'm trying to find your comment, Laughing Man. Here it is. When is Jay going to be Canadian Bear? And he said that in all caps.
500 on my channel.
He did it though. Did you not? Did you do it in the 500 he dropped? Or the one?
He dropped
No,
it
no, no.
here.
I'm saying the one he did on your channel.
Oh, I put it on.
Oh, okay.
You
sound very, very thrilled about that.
I was doing my one. Listen, Gary. I'm a troll and a meme, or not. I'm a meme to Gary, and that's all. And I'm good with that. And Gary shows up on my 100K celebration, and I'm like, well, that's cool. As soon as he shows up, Laughing Man drops $500, says, put on the suit. And I'm like, I got Gary here, man, for like 5 minutes. And he's like, put on the suit. So I went and put it on because I'm a man of my word.
Oh man. Same Millennial for 20 says, I proudly support JD as VP. I recommend everyone read his book, Hillbilly Elegy. I grew up in the same area in Southwest Ohio and Eastern Kentucky as him, so I can relate to his story a lot, and I know he's telling the truth. He overcame big odds. Isn't there a movie of that? I kind of want to watch it now. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of JD Vance after tonight. Grover Pearson says Democrats are going to become more unhinged. Losing to Trump also means 8 years of Vance. October is going to be lit. It is going to be lit. So it's a Netflix movie. I'll have to check it out. No, dude, this is the month right here. Like this is it right here. This is the Super Bowl for us. We're going to be covering everything this month on this channel. So make sure you are tuned in. Make sure you subscribe, notifications, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Kick, follow me on Rumble, follow me everywhere. Make sure notifications are turned on because there's going to be a lot of streaming. Gray Oak says, would you have ever thought that we would live in a time and a day and an age when guys dressed as casual fascist Friday attire would show up at your doorstep for a social media post? It's scary. And this is where we are. If Kamala Harris wins, dude, there's no overselling it. We're fucked. There's no overselling this shit. We're fucked. It can't happen.
Yeah, that's why we're going to vote early. As soon as I'm going to vote as early as possible. So, Buster Nut Smash, I see you in the chat. Please send me an email update. Thank you.
Gray Oak says, I was entertained by this tonight, but nothing has entertained me more than being here with you guys tonight. Not gay. Jason Platten says, DeSantis blew it big time. He could have gracefully accepted Trump's VP position and been a shoe-in for president in 2028. After tonight, everyone is going to want Vance to take the reins after Trump. That is 100% it right there. This could have been DeSantis. I don't think DeSantis can beat Vance in 2028 now. I don't think he can. Vance, if Vance gets picked as VP, we have 4 years of Trump Vance, and then Vance is basically right there to be the nominee. That's a great point, Jason. That's a great point indeed. Holy crap. John Murdoch for a proper 199. I'm a
compliment.
I'm a Vance fan now. Hey, Jeremy, your audio and camera is outstanding tonight. And then Laughing Man responds to John's super chat and says, play the clip, Jeremy. Laughing Man is on it. Here we go.
Should I do it?
Do not come.
I'm gonna do it.
Do not come.
I'm gonna come.
It's the best clip ever, man. It really is.